everybody. Welcome to Author Rack. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Sal.
And this is the show where we take the comic books from last week, talk about them, review them, break them down, and then at the end of the show, we tell you about books that you might want to pick up. And
That's
also,
right.
sometimes we talk about news. Sal just threw that to me right, literally, as it was going live. So,
Is there any news that we should be talking about? Is there anything big going on in the comic book world? I mean, I think
Loki came out.
Loki came out. We could talk about Loki. We're going to review Loki, obviously, the first episode on this show.
Yeah.
I guess that should have been the thumbnail. Oops. But a lot of big stuff going on in comics. So, that's what the show is. It's a catch-all for the most up-to-the-minute news and reviews of comic books, unless we skip a week, in which case we try to go back if that was an especially big book that week. But we should also mention that we're going to be at New York Comic Con this week.
I literally can't believe it.
I can't believe it's happening.
Know why?
Always creeps up on me.
It's not. It doesn't usually creep up on me.
This one it did.
This one I was like, wait, what?
This one just dropped on me like a bomb. Like the first Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Unless nobody's there on Sunday, we're going to be there. Tiffany and myself, and then the crew's coming on Friday and/or Saturday. Definitely Saturday, we're going to do a meetup. So if you want to know where and when, we will let you know. Once we get a lay of the land, figure out a good meetup location. We're going to tell you a day and time and a place on the community tab of this channel and ComicPop and on Twitter.
And we'll try to do it as many places as possible. All of the social avenues, probably maybe like a story on Instagram, probably something on TikTok. So wherever you're following us, you will get a notification.
You will have no excuse to say, I didn't know where you were on Saturday.
Yeah, but it will be on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday is the day where you will meet the optimal amount of ComicPop crew members.
Right.
Which is to say, I think everyone who's associated with the channel will be there on Saturday.
That's right.
I think it's fair to say.
It's going to be all four of us.
Yeah.
So it better be.
It is. Maybe even Danielle will be there. Yeah. So you can look at her from across the room. You're like, there she is.
Unless she goes and explores the con.
Which actually is probably a good opportunity for her to do that.
Yeah, it's totally fair.
Yeah. So you will not meet Danielle. But if you want to, she's in the chat right now.
I say Ethan. Ethan better be there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, Ethan's cool. We'll figure it out. He's going to be fine. But so that's going to happen. We're going to be doing that, and hopefully we'll see you there. If you do see us on the floor and you're like, oh man, there they are, come over and say hello. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Ask for a selfie. We're happy to do them.
Or just say hi.
Or just say hello.
We're not.
But I'm just saying, people feel intimidated. Don't do that. We're just like you. We are there to be nerds. So please.
Yeah, you know how when you meet you have an encounter with a wild animal and they're like, they're more afraid of you than you are of them.
That's very true. We are.
Us.
Yeah, we're just as intimidated as you are. So please say hello. That's right. So we want to also mention this show is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can help the show out by using Super Chats. Ask a question or comment here on the show, or if you're catching the show after it has already gone live, you can use Super Thanks. And it's just like having a Super Chat, only we didn't read it on the show, but it will be in the comments below, and I will read it and give you a heart and probably even reply to it. So that's not really transactional. That's hardly just a proportionate response, but there's ways for you to support the channel if you so choose. You can also go to patreon.com/ComicPop and get some help out there. That helps us more directly, although they do take a percentage. There's no perfect system. I'm sorry. But you do get some perks, like you get some early access to back issues. There is this week's episode, which we teased in the community tab of the main channel. That is available right now to watch at a particular tier. I believe it's Morty Fleischman. That's a real deep cut. And if you're only a fan of this channel, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So let's just jump into it. So before we get started on everything, I should mention that
I thought we were talking about Loki.
Loki's at the end. We're gonna save Loki. Loki's a big deal.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. But I did read Shazam by Mark Waid and Dan Mora. Dan Mora has not left this book. 4 issues. Dan Mora action drawing.
It's only 4 issues. He better not have left this
I
book.
know, but
it's like 2 issues in. He's like, you know what? I'm good.
Well, I mean, if I were Dan Mora, I got other things to do. I don't gotta draw Shazam.
Maybe he also did that Hershey.
Oh yeah, did he do the whole thing though?
I don't know. I'm just saying he did some of it.
Yeah, that's fair. But so he did draw all. He's still drawing all of Shazam, and it's all the better for it. This is a book that he
just loves drawing gorillas.
If he does, then it really shows. Honestly, in this one, you get gorillas wielding machine guns. You get gorillas wearing space suits. You have Gorilla City. You have gorillas driving not motorcycles, but motorized vehicles. Gorillas for days in this issue. I had to read issues 2, 3, and 4 to catch up, but
so the majority of the series.
Yeah, exactly. Because I read the first issue and I was like, this is fun, and then I just completely blanked on it because Shazam is no one's favorite superhero. But and this isn't really doing anything to dissuade me, but it is a joyful, fun book that is all the more improved by Dan Mora drawing it. The fun thing is that the gods that make up Shazam's acronym, they're all kind of turning against Shazam. And so they've
like, you're not helping our brand, man.
No. And so like they're taking over him sometimes, but they've kidnapped Freddy. And so they're going to use him as like a spy on Shazam. In this particular issue, there's like this kind of weird Brainiac character who is going to take over the moon, and he's in league with this beautiful bee-themed woman who has taken a shine to the Captain. That's what Shazam's new name is. I don't know if it's going to stick, but it never does, any of them.
Okay.
But the so Zeus takes over the Captain's body to flirt with her, which is really funny.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
That is on brand.
It works really well.
On brand for that.
But
man.
she is like all for
God.
it. Unfortunately, Billy, who is like 13 or whatever, he's like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want my first kiss to be with this bee woman. So he interrupts. He Shazams out. It's a cute book.
Does it have a moment like in Ultimate Spider-Man with Black Cat?
No, he does not heave on the bee woman. Billy Batson has more dignity than Ultimate Peter Parker.
I'm just saying, where she's just like, oh my God,
what have I done? No, she doesn't care. She's an alien. She doesn't understand the whole.
Okay. She's like, I don't know, how old are you?
Yeah, I couldn't care less.
She's like,
that's
what
how
is
she
that
is.
bee or
Exactly. Yeah, actually, she must be younger than he is because bees live shorter lifespans than humans.
No, she's older then.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Well, anyway, if nothing else, you can look at this book. There's Tyrannosaurus Rexes that are there to serve like
the bee queen?
Accountant papers to the Freeman family or to the Shazam family. So like
with their little arms?
Yeah. It's great. Like, so you want to see Tyrannosaurus Rex men, gorillas, bee people, the moon, Shazam. It's got it all, folks.
You know what it is? I bet if you're a writer and you're working with Dan Mora, it must be very freeing because I swear he can draw anything.
That's the thing, is like draw anything.
And so it's like if you know his body of work, you just like want to like challenge him, be like, can he do this?
The reality is
the answer is always yes.
The fact is, this must be one of those things where Wade's like, well, I've written everything, I've written everyone, I can write it all.
I've written it all. So
Dan, what do you want to see? And I go, no, Dan's like, I want to draw dinosaurs, I want to draw gorillas, and I want to draw like bee women. And he's like, done. All 3 in one issue. Here you go. But there's some spectacular pages in this. Just full blown pages where it's like that page is going to sell for $10,000.
That's like, okay, because you could put Dan Mora, I feel like, on any book.
Yeah,
and you'd have some spectacular pages.
You're going to. I don't know if the thing is, I never want to pigeonhole any artist to go like, I want to see them on every book.
No. I'm just saying, like, but if you ended up on like another book, you like, given the right writer or the writer to give him the free. Well, no, I think any situation he could go, I'm going to make this interesting.
Oh yeah, no. Well, the thing is,
action packed.
He also knows like dynamic page layout and stuff. Like, look.
Oh my God, that gorilla.
Yeah, that gorilla in that spacesuit is just a full blown page of a gorilla in a spacesuit. It must be Bond villain.
Making him shine, making that art shine.
Yeah. Let's see who the colorist was. Alejandro Sanchez did the colors.
Alejandro, you're doing an amazing job.
Yep. Lady Gaga was right to sing about you. But so yeah, let's talk about another book, shall we? But before we do that, let's jump into some super chats. Jackson Boyd can't make it for the live show tonight. He's not even here. Wanted to say thank to Tiffany for continuing to cover the X books. Red Axe and Sinister recently both were great. Hey, look at that.
I'm telling you.
Look at that. Somebody actually out loud is admitting that they read and enjoyed Axe.
That isn't me.
That isn't you, but is true.
Thank you, Jackson.
Bryce Harriet. You guys are the best. Sal's my pick to write a Flash. I would never write a Flash. Not that I wouldn't want to, but like, you don't want me to write Flash.
But maybe that's the thing. It's like my theory that I'm like, no, if you give a writer a character, as long as you're told them you can't do a character assassination, but they have less interest in it, you might actually get a decent story because you're not too.
I'm not married to the material. Yeah. I 24 love Spider-Man. That's why I've never read a run coming out while I've been cognizant. Yeah, that's fair. You don't read Spider-Man in 20. If you are 24 years old, that means you've never been alive when there was a good run on Spider-Man. Oh my God, that's horrific. I'm sorry. Young Goku over 9000. Gotham War suddenly got Fuego. Nightwing got hands also. Immortal X-Men is straight gas. Those reveals were just chef's kiss. Yeah. And just when I was wondering where Jean's story was going to. Yeah. We'll talk about that more in depth. I promise. Yeah. Because I also read some of the Gotham War. At the very least, I read the Batman book. How could I not?
I thought you're like, I read some of Mortal X-Men. I was like, ooh, let's talk
No,
about
I didn't
it.
read that. I'm sorry. Hey, says Billy Retro Gamer. Great seeing you guys at ZapCon. If you haven't already gone, you really missed out because there were a plethora of comic book creators. There was a bunch of comic books. I think over 200 long boxes of books. Highest price for most of those books were $2. But
and I got called a nerd twice.
My Tom King, Eisner Award-winning and future Oscar Award-winning.
One time in writing and one time in person.
In person. Looking forward to seeing you at New York Comic Con. Tiff, what are good books to start my fiance on Doctor Strange? She's new to the comics and got into Strange through the MCU. Not a bad entry point.
Not a bad entry point at all, depending on her background and other materials that she enjoys reading. Listen, my one go-to is typically The Oath because it really does a good job of creating enough backstory for you to get your feet wet. It gives you a really good kind of barometer on the moral and backgrounds of these characters.
Yeah.
It really allows you to get to know them without a huge commitment into their world, without going like, okay, now you're going to read this epic collection and that. Not that I'm saying that the epic collections aren't a great opportunity, but it really just goes like, hey, here you go. What do you think?
Right. Exactly.
Like, what parts of it did you like? Additionally, my introduction to Doctor Strange was 1602. As much as it's not his book necessarily, you can't go wrong with a Neil Gaiman written book.
With a Kubert on art?
With a Kubert on art. So if she happens to be someone who maybe enjoys some history or enjoys like alternate timelines, telling you it's actually a really great start. And then in terms of runs, I mean, listen, you can start almost anywhere. It really is going to depend on what she's looking to get out of this character. I mean, honestly, if she likes the MCU version of Strange, she might also enjoy
Strange by J.M. Straczynski, creator of Babylon 5.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that run, but you can feel
the movie pitch within.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that may not be a bad place as well. And then of course, I mean, I love Jason Aaron's run. I think it's great. However, it is a weird place to kind of pick up because it's like you have to understand a little bit about him. So like if you don't want to go back to like the 90s, like early 2000s or even into the 80s, I would start with The Oath and then maybe dally into the Aaron run and then just see what's vibing with her and then go from there.
It's true. LJ, hello ComicPop, love the show. In the latest F4, Sue Storm was retconned into being an archaeologist. My question is, what makes a good or bad retcon? Great question. I'll say this, and I don't want to dwell too long on it, but I will say, I would rather have retconned that Sue Storm was an amateur archaeologist or a fan, the way that Jean-Luc Picard, like his hobby is archaeology. So it's like, even though he has no business owning a Kurna Nesker, he has one anyway. And you can trust him with it. You know, it's important to establish that your character can be believably interested in something that has different nuances and had the time. Because like the problem with characters that have been around for 80 years is that I know what they've been up to for the last 80 years. And I know how long, I've seen every like inch of their lives. When did you have time for the archaeology? And that is where the perfect retcon comes in. It needs to be believable, buyable, but more important, it needs to make you excited or intrigued instead of asking questions. A clunky retcon will only make you poke holes in it.
Yeah. It'll ask you to.
Yeah. A flawless retcon. It's funny because also some of these like veteran writers are great at retconning. They're just old hands at it, but some of them are too good at it. I think that they flow so seamlessly that you don't even recognize it is a retcon, or you recognize you see the seams. It's like an over choreographed fight scene.
Right.
Like John Wick 4 or whatever. When you're like watching it and you're like, all right, well, clearly you are just feeling yourself. It's like or the third hallway fight in Daredevil. Like the first hallway fight, whoa. The second one, cool, you ratcheted it up and it's still dope. But like by the third time, you're like, guys, I don't need a hallway fight every time. You were trying to save money by doing a one shot that doesn't actually show both the fight for people that don't have time to learn choreography. Like it's brilliant in its execution, but it also needs to be able to like do double duty. Like that hallway scene is one of the best sequences in all of the MCU's history, even though it's not technically part of the MCU. And it's like it was needed because of budget and time. A good retcon is one of those things where it's like, I need to tell this story. I need this to work. I need to work within the framework of continuity. How do I make that happen? When you can make it happen and make the audience excited, that's a successful retcon for me. Rory Groth, ComicPop Woo, hope you're doing well. Hope you are too, Rory. Thanks. I also read Birds of Prey #2. This is a great series. It's written by Kelly Thompson with art by Leonardo Romero.
This is like month 2 of me saying, I should probably read this book.
That's what I was thinking every time I read it. This one is mostly just Black Canary being like, all right, ladies, this is the plan. And then all of them kind of like arguing or giving some reason why the plan is in some way in contrast to their morals, or saying, I can make that plan happen. Here we go. Eventually, at trying to execute one other element of the plan, all of the team comes together and gets into a big fight. And Black Canary is like, I didn't expect everyone to be here at this time. I'm supposed to meet them at the harbor at midnight, but I'm here now in this underground bar fight with these superpowered monsters. I guess it's a team. This is really working out for me. Okay. We also get a beautiful scene between Black Canary and Sin and her sister. It's really, really well written. And I just like seeing these characters. Romero's art is really fun. Has a very like kind of, I don't know. It's like almost a Kirby inspired, but it works. It's shades of Darwin Cook. There's a lot of fun in here, and good character. Everyone's themselves. There's no sacrifices being made. This is a book. It's a sleeper book. I'm worried it won't get more than 6 issues. Hell, 4 issues. Folks, if you do find this interesting, you want to see Zealot in more things, you want to see Big Barda interact with Harley Quinn or Cassandra, you should be pre-ordering this book. Birds of Prey #2, it just came out. Tell your comic book shop you want Birds of Prey #3, or just say, why don't you put me on the hook for the whole series? Because the reality is you're probably only going to be on the hook for the next 2 to 4 issues. So definitely check that out. Fun big reveal at the end. It's not really a big reveal, but it's more like Harley Quinn's like, I know a guy that can help us get onto Themyscira. Sharks. Anyway, let's move on. Birds of Prey #2. I recommend it. Definitely check it out.
Okay.
What do you got, Tiffany? You want to jump in on the X-Men train already? Or?
I don't even know where to start this week. This was there. I was all over the place.
How about Doctor Strange?
All right, we could do Doctor Strange.
I feel like you won't have much to say.
This is Doctor Strange #8. I mean, I have a lot to say about this, but I don't at the same time. It's Jed MacKay, Pascal Ferry.
Great Alex Ross covers.
Great, yeah. Honestly, like this is, if you like Alex Ross's cover game, I feel like Strange he's been doing a nice job.
Yeah.
Just overall. We've been living in the MacKay world of like things that MacKay wishes they had gone more into detail or more in depth with, or just picking up some things where he's like, hey, they didn't have to follow through with this, but I'm going to go with it. I want to go for it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to be like, hey, let's talk more about this thing that happened in Strange's past. Because Jed MacKay either just grew up reading Doctor Strange or just recently read all of it. I don't care either way. We're getting some really good, fun stories here that have like a classic feel to them, but they're pretty modern at the same time. But in Death of Doctor Strange,
right,
we mentioned the Trinity of Ashes, and I was like, oh, that's kind of deep, Paul. I wonder if we didn't do much with it though, and I was like, that was a shame.
Was it?
But Jed MacKay was like, hold on.
Yeah, no, I said that so that it would eventually come up.
Nah, don't worry. We got plenty of time. We got plenty of time to get into that, and that's where we're at. We find out that we've discovered in the past couple of issues that there's a Doctor Strange who fought the war, the 1,000 Years War,
which is a thing you talked about at length in one of the episodes. You pull out your old back issues. You were like, "This is where it came from." This is where
it came from, and you can read all about it there, but not.
Should have been a miniseries written by J.M. DeMatteis.
DeMatteis could have done a great job on it as well, and
still could.
And we did have one issue in this current run that kind of does like a really abbreviated history, but there's a really great opportunity there to kind of delve more in depth with it. But additionally, they've been like teasing up the fact that it's like, here's like a dark Doctor Strange. Now, I feel like while I love this, and I really, really do, having this come off of the heels of like Doctor Strange dying, and then we had old Doctor Strange, like Blue Cape Doctor Strange, and then Doctor Strange was dead, and then we had the Harvestman who was Doctor Strange. And now we have Doctor Strange, but then there's like this like battle hardened like dog of war Doctor Strange. War dog Doctor Strange. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not angry because the stories are good, but I'm also kind of like, there is like a little bit of a sameness, and maybe that is what people are looking for right now, where it's just kind of the repetition is comforting as opposed to just sort of like meh or lazy, because I don't really want to use that word, because I don't think that it's.
You don't think it's lazy?
I don't think it's lazy.
Everyone's trying. Everyone's doing their job.
Yeah, but it's just funny, because the more I like
when you describe it on paper,
when you look back, it's like, oh, that's like in its basics. Sure, when you get into the stories, less so.
Right.
We've been dealing with a lot of like who killed who, like.
Yeah.
And that's been happening a lot. It's like a hallmark. And maybe it's thematic. Maybe this will all come to a head. I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna be like, well,
it could actually just be deliberate. It's funny. Apropos, just as a quick aside, when we were talking about Infinite Frontier on back issues, and I had Ben and Ethan on the show, and obviously Joshua Williamson is a co-host of this channel now. He's on All Stars with me. We chatted. I don't remember if it was on mic or not, but I asked him if he caught the Infinite Frontier episode, and he said, "No, I fear it." And we talked about it, and I said, there's one question that like Ethan kept bringing up, and it's like, why is this book a mystery? Like, you could have just done the book. You don't need it to be a mystery. Why did you keep insisting on making it a mystery? And Josh just went, well, I like mysteries. And it's like, that's, he's a human being who just likes to write. Yeah. It could be Jed McKay's just like, well, I like that idea.
Well, I like the idea of different Doctor Strange.
I just like the idea of different versions. Look, nobody complains when Spider-Man has like 700 versions of himself in movies and stuff.
It's true. It's true. And I do appreciate too, to some degree, that Strange has really been dabbling only within his own world. And as much as I would like to see Doctor Strange doing something a little bit smaller, at least now what he's doing is dealing with his own past and storylines from there, as opposed to like either making up something. Which, I mean, even then he's not, because he keeps bringing it back from something else. Making something up, but within the bounds and the context of the past.
Yeah.
But also not, trying to like be like, oh, now we're gonna go deal with this thing over there. Like, no, Doctor Strange is dealing with Doctor Strange stuff, and I'm like, that's cool. You can do big, crazy, like world-ending feeling stuff with him when he's like in another dimension,
right?
Or like people don't have to know about it, because it's like, well, what are they gonna do anyway? Right?
That's true. Yeah. All we need to know is, does he survive? Because if he does, then he can be in the next Marvel event, and it's not confusing or weird.
Right. And I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of emphasis on Clea being here and their relationship. And now that we've brought forth this other Doctor Strange, who is like a lot more like war hungry, and he's like, I didn't get a chance to finish that war, and I want to, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish that war. I'm going to win it.
Okay.
At all costs. Right. And that's basically the gist of what he's doing. He's stealing like children, like magical children, to create soldiers. And like Doctor Strange is like,
what are you doing?
That is important. And I'm really not okay with that.
Yeah.
But the idea in this issue is that Clea is like, goes in under the guise of being like, when I talked to Stephen about what we had to do and the fact that we had to kill you, other evil Doctor Strange, that I saw in his eyes weakness. And so she comes to him and they like kiss, and he's like, I've always loved you, and like, I understand you better than he ever could.
Right.
You're a warlord, blah, 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 blah. Right. And it's like, oh, and I was like, I thought the subterfuge was going to go like
longer.
Further. And I was like, well, obviously she doesn't mean this.
Yeah.
Obviously this is a ploy. And I guess I appreciate that it didn't go longer, because McKay is like, I'm not going to treat my audience like idiots. I'm going to just like unveil this for what it is. And it's like, oh, she came to kill him. And she's like, I'm not going to let my husband like try to like kill you. I'm not going to let him like have to dirty himself like that, or to like potentially kill him. I already lost him. I'm not doing that. Right. Yeah. And Strange went off to talk to the Vishanti, and he like really rips into them. It's really nice. He's had an opportunity, but like McKay's given him a chance to really blow off some steam and then pull it back together. Like he at one point he really gives the like Umar and others a real piece of his mind.
Good.
Which is great. It's really good. And it gives Clea a chance to go like, whoa. Hey, pull it back.
Only that.
And I'm like, wow, when Clea's telling you to pull it back,
like
you need to take
you
pause.
need to take pause. Yeah. It could also be, it's nice. What's nice about it is that like, from Aaron to Kate's to Mark Waid. Not actually, I need to exclude Waid, because there's no way Waid doesn't know about Strange's history, though he didn't really dabble in it, as I recall from your description. McKay pulling in the Vishanti and making them an integral part of Doctor Strange again makes it an inescapable element that is nice, because it's like one of the things that, like, I think the movies, and I think that's one a contention that you have, is that the movies are very reticent to bring up really any fun element of Doctor Strange's history. That
they don't want to deal with it. They
don't want to confuse or upset people. They don't want the memification of a Tiger Man.
I think that's that. Well, you just see his head anyway. But I think it's more that they're like, I don't have time to explain all of this. The comics have time, and I don't have that kind of time.
And it's like you could if you just tried.
Additionally, like when you show, images of the Vishanti, like you see in this issue, you can't help but think of other issues from the past.
Exactly.
You can't help but think of like Triumph and Torment, and like older issues. So it's like there is an air of nostalgia to his work, but it's nostalgia ever moving forward.
Right, which is wonderful. I think that's a good marriage.
Right, I agree.
Not unlike the Clea and Strange marriage.
Right, yeah, they're working through it. But essentially, Strange is.
Whipping up magic.
He meditates and he's doing whatever, and he's got plans, and he's just like, he comes home and he's like, "Where's Clea?" And Bats is like, "Oh, she left." And he's like,
"Oh man, she's doing it."
She said she went like to the farm. She went back to where it started. And he's like, "Cool, I know exactly where she went. I have to now. Great, now I
gotta save my wife.
Now you force my hand." And he goes forth to the Trinity of Ashes, and he makes a deal with them, and then we get another version of Doctor Strange. And I'm like,
well, it's our version. He's just souped up. He's got like new power or something. Yeah.
And then you get this
what a great next.
So like overall, like this is a solid, great run. I am wondering though how it's going to read from like Death of Doctor Strange to this, and if it won't feel a little more repetitive than it does right now, reading it week to week, or not week to week, but month to month. But like I just can't help but appreciate McKay's, honoring and
like reverence.
For Strange's past, and for, threads potentially forgotten, or not even forgotten, like I said, just there that could be explored. And Pascal Ferry, he's not my
growing
favorite.
on you.
He's not my favorite, and I don't want to speak ill of an artist necessarily who's,
giving it their all
and doing like their version of it. And it's just like, for me, it's just not my kind of art. And at times it shines, and at times it really doesn't for me. There are definitely some moments in these books where I'm like, damn, that is great looking. And then there are a lot of moments where I'm like, but this really drags the rest of the book down. And so unfortunately, I just don't vibe with the art style, but it's not enough to keep me from reading it.
Yeah, it's not like a Greg Land. The colorist, I think, is doing some nice work with this. That's Heather Moore. And I think, because I don't think Heather Moore, I don't know if Heather Moore did the colors for Spider Shadow.
Oh, I don't know. I was going to say Heather Moore colored Tradmore's work.
No crap. That elevates this big time. I'm going to look that up. I have to know if Spider Shadow. I don't think it was.
I don't believe so either.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to Marvel.com. There's no way they put the colorist on there, and they didn't. Shocking. Great job, Marvel. Here we go. Fandom will tell me.
Will they?
No. Here we go. Matt Hollingsworth did the colors on it. Yep. I do like Matt Hollingsworth. I'm not saying he's bad.
Right.
But this is night and day. I was looking at this book over your shoulder while you were reading it. And I was like, that looks really good.
No. Heather's doing an amazing job.
Elevates the work.
It definitely elevates the work. And like I said, there are some stunning moments, and then there are some less great moments for me. It's just
mostly faces. The Vishanti look pretty great.
It's a lot of up and downs for me, and so like I find myself just really lingering more on the story.
Loving Doctor Strange makes you plastic. You're like a rubber band just bouncing around between ups and downs.
I didn't mean to talk so much about.
No, it's all right.
I'm sorry.
Well, I read Alien Annual #1, written by Declan Shalvey with art by Danny Earls. This is one of those things. Like Alien from Marvel has been also very trying. Any of the Fox properties, unless you're talking about the Planet of the Apes, which I have not read. But I have read Predator and Alien, and I can tell you that I'm disappointed in all of it. But this is an annual, and I knew because it was an annual, it was going to be different and divorced from everything. And it was an almost entirely silent issue. It starred the aliens, and the idea was, I think that it's Shalvey who wants to set up new xenomorphs, like new types of xenomorphs. There's this other alien that this ship infested with xenomorphs crashes onto. There's a planet that the xenomorphs take over a ship. The ship crashes onto another alien world. It's full of eggs and a queen, and there's other types of aliens there, and they incubate inside of those aliens. And so we get a new race of aliens that are also at war with the xenomorphs in this issue, and their war lasts hundreds of years to bring us up to speed to like the current continuity of the Alien book right now. And so we're going to get 2 different types of aliens, and maybe a different type of alien queen as well. And that's what this whole thing was about. Just watching aliens like kill things, gestate inside of other things, blast out of those things, and then fight their previous versions of themselves. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like it. Okay. The Good. This is a really good looking book. I do like Ruth Redmond's colors, though I think that I feel like it could. I saw the pencils and the inks on this, and I liked it better. Like not that I wanted it to be like a sketch or non-colored issue, but there's like this like sheen of cleanliness and like a softness that this book needs to lose.
Okay.
Alien should not be soft in any way. Like an alien book needs to feel like it's made of metal. It needs to be dark and grimy and slimy and like and yeah, it has to cut you. That's what this book needs to do. And it was just it was almost like too much of a like a protection over it. But Earls did some great job with with the limited amount of ships he got to draw. They look fantastic, which is all you want from an alien book. You want the xenomorphs to look great and not be traced. You want the ships to look dope, and you want the alien worlds to be hostile, and you want the humans to be rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And it was nice. Good work. So it was fun, and it was also like a tough book because it was 36 issues or 36 pages of no dialogue.
Right.
No humans either, just aliens. Just telling a story with aliens. Yay. Good for you.
That's awesome.
Nice work overall.
Just real quick, I read Ghost Rider Annual #1.
Hey, you did?
I did.
How'd it go? That cover is so fun.
It is so fun. This is an annual.
It looks like Danny, but I know it isn't. Because Danny, he's on the ground and he's begging for help.
It's not. This is Ben Percy writing this with art by Danny Kim this time.
Okay.
And this is the annual. It's the Halloween special essentially for them.
How fun!
They said it for October, and I don't know about you, but it just feels like if you're at Marvel and you're writing a book at around Halloween, naturally you need to dust off Elsa Bloodstone because that's when she's allowed to come out.
Right.
When she's at the height of her power, apparently, is in October.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm like, it's okay to put her in books,
man. Right?
It's okay. She
she used to like basically lead Next Wave.
Right? Like she can come out the rest of the year. I know her costume's orange, and maybe you associate that with Halloween, but like it's okay to have her show up.
No, it's true.
But this issue is a lot of fun. It is entirely an annual. You don't need to know much about what's been going on, except that there's a new woman that Johnny travels with, and I think the intro page kind of gives you enough about that.
Great.
But like you could just read this book, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, so if you're looking to like get into Ghost Rider,
you want to like see what Percy's voice is for this world. Not a bad jumping off point. The art is totally different because it's a different artist working on this annual, but it looks great and it does give you the vibe that the rest of the series has had. It's nice. Gritty, it's gritty and it's dark, and here it is. A couple things.
Point of order.
The Hood is in this. He is the main antagonist of this issue.
It's a great idea. The Hood has a lot of like mystical elements to him. He has a demon sometimes inside of the Hood cloak thing he carries. And I think that Bendis like drove him into the ground with his whole like I want to be the Kingpin angle. So like let's do something mystical with him instead.
Sure. He here's my problem with him. I don't know much about him. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we do own the hardcover of Brian K. Vaughan's The Hood miniseries.
Oh boy!
I believe it's a Max book. By the way,
great!
So you might dig it.
The Hood insists upon himself.
He does. That is a fundamental element of his character. He insists upon himself.
I know everything about him. He's here. He goes to Salem. It is very steeped in. It's Halloween. It's Samhain.
Is it also choked with people? Because every TikTok I see of Salem, Massachusetts around this time is just like completely
that is
neck
actually,
deep in humans.
That is the most unrealistic part of this book.
Is that in October Salem is empty.
It's empty. And he's looking for a book. He's looking for a magic book. I have no problem with this plot. That's very mystical. Oh, you're gonna go
need a big book.
There's the guy who owns a bookstore. He says,
does the book have an eye in it?
No, but the shopkeeper has many eyes. So,
even better. Cool.
Gets a hold of the book, and Elsa's like, "Hey, Johnny, we gotta go take care of this." And she, basically is like, like I already tried Doctor Strange, but he's busy. So
yeah.
So
he's fighting himself or something.
Yeah, you're gonna come on. He's like, cool, thanks. I'm glad I'm
second choice, dude. You're Ghost Rider. You're like 10th choice.
Yeah,
I asked Nico Menru.
I couldn't get a hold of Jericho,
Brother Blood.
So listen.
Yeah.
He was like second. I'm
Brother Voodoo. I meant
yeah. Well, whatever.
I said Brother Blood. I'm like, what the hell am I thinking of?
But she and Talia don't get along well. They go on a big adventure.
Cool.
That's what you need to know. And at the end of the day, Ghost Rider doesn't actually fight the Hood.
Great.
Elsa works on that element of it because if you wanted to see Johnny Blaze fight the Great Pumpkin,
what?
Yeah, that's
okay.
I was like, are we
from like Charlie Brown?
Because this is the Halloween spirit. It's like, it is so like, if I told you the plot of this book, oh sorry guys, without actually having you read this book, it sounds really dumb. But then when you read it, you're like, that's kind of fun, and I really enjoyed myself.
Well, it's like most horror movies or books, yeah.
But like at the end, like it's the Halloween spirit.
Yeah.
Like it's a big pumpkin guy with big scary fleshy wings.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider's got to fight him. It's like a combination of Charlie Brown, a horror movie, and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Okay.
I don't know, guys. But I had a really good time with it. And if you were wondering what it was like to read Ben Percy's Ghost Rider, this is a great pickup for you. It's Halloween. It's October themed. Elsa Bloodstone is in it. What more can I say?
That's fair. All right, fair enough. I read Transformers from Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer.
Nice.
This is something that I've been looking forward to, and despite my connection with both an architect of the, I don't know, IDW Hasbroverse and knowing Dubbers personally, I had to read this alongside everybody else. Yeah. I didn't get any early access to this book, but nice. I'm glad because it gave me a chance to just be excited along with everybody else. This is precious. It feels precious to Dan because there's actually a beautiful little like story at the end where he talks about like his connection with the property and watching Transformers and buying the action figure and like trying to get it right and being able, if I could draw Optimus Prime, then I can draw anything and that kind of thing. And it was very, very personal and very beautiful. It was just a sweet little story, as is any story you hear from Danny Warren Johnson. I'm just thrilled that they're letting him do him, that this isn't like someone else writing a thing and then letting Daniel Warren Johnson draw it, which I don't think he's interested in doing at all anyway. It's right. If Daniel Warren Johnson on a book, he's going to write it, and good. But this almost feels a little too precious. Like this felt very much like a Transformers comic first and a Daniel Warren Johnson book second.
Oh, how'd you feel about that then?
Right? I felt conflicted because like as much as, see, I grew up in the era of Transformers, but I did not watch a lot of Transformers. I was not a world, like, I love the iconography of Transformers. I liked the idea of it. No, but I love the iconography. I love the designs. I love the world building, but the show is dreadfully dull. And I just can't. I just can't get into it. It's just, I would rather watch Tiger People or Ghostbusters than Robots in Disguise, or The Skies, if you were, misinterpreting the opening credits. But
he's not talking about me.
No, but that being said, like this feels like watching the cartoon. This feels like recapturing Transformers on Toonami, by way of Daniel Warren Johnson. And of course, it looks spectacular, but it's not. It's not Do a Powerbomb. It's not even Wonder Woman Dead Earth. Like it's not no holds barred, balls out like holy crap. It's not Beta Ray Bill, which feels very much like Beta Ray Bill feels like a creator-owned book compared to this. This feels very coordinated, and I enjoyed it immensely.
Okay.
But it also, if you're looking like, if you are coming from Do a Powerbomb to this, it's gonna be different. Like this is gonna feel like a IP instead of a Daniel Warren Johnson joint. You know what I mean? I do love Daniel Warren Johnson's work, and if it weren't for him, I would never read this book.
Okay.
Because I don't care, I'm not I'm not the world's biggest Transformers fan, and I know that if I wanted to get into Transformers, I could just go read the IDW book.
Right.
Which everyone says that is amazing and I need to read. But this is a good book, but it's also not an indie book. It's very much like an IP. And I think that it's like it's like if Daniel Warren Johnson was in charge of like the Transformers license, like this is him giving you the show, which I think is really cool. But I'm also not like, this is amazing, this is a revelation. It's really cool, as you would expect. The voices are great, and the art is spectacular, but it doesn't feel like an indie book, which I never expected.
Right.
I did expect it. That's really why I'm saying it. I did expect it to feel like something like world shattering.
Right.
And I think I have a right to feel that way because every time that D-Dubs has done something, it has shaken my world. This is cool, but it's corporate.
Okay. But that's good though for people who might have been afraid
Absolutely.
of someone who has so many amazing independent creations as Daniel Warren Johnson, that they might have been going into this being like, I'm a Transformers fan,
right?
Not a Daniel Warren Johnson fan. I don't want my Transformers messed with too much.
Yeah, that's fair, and I hope it makes a fan of both. And I think that it could, because it's not hacky.
Right.
I'm just kind of like, if I'm on the other end, so it's like, if you're gonna do Transformers, blow the whole damn thing up. I want to see. I want to have my socks knocked off, and if there aren't many left, like creators who can knock my socks off, or
like Transformers.
There aren't many Transformers left.
I don't know anything about Transformers.
Yeah, like somebody pointed out the black, white, and blood Darth Vader. Like he did like a 4-page. It's easy to do 4 pages. Just make Darth Vader cool and scary. 4 pages, done. Especially Daniel Warren Johnson. That's not really a tall order. This is him building out a world, and it's like I'm not complaining at all. It's a good book, but it's not like Murder Falcon or anything. You know what it is? It's actually very mature. It's like he's doing a job. Like this is something where it's like,
how does it look though?
Oh, it looks great. It's beautiful. It's great. And it looks good and it's fun and detailed. I know he draws it.
He is the one that draws it.
It's not digital. Like you could see the pages. He's got ink all over his hands and arms from everything he's been doing to make it, come to life.
Yeah.
And Spicer's colors are, of course, impeccable as always.
Okay.
What else did we read?
I guess it's the X-Men Power Hour coming your way.
Well, should we do some super chats before we jump into the X-Men Power Hour?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy for that.
RK says, I want to thank you all for the talks about BTS, about the behind the scenes about comics. Gives me a good ref to a lot of the editorial thinking for some of my characters. I'm glad we can help out, RK. And I try not to tell tales out of school. I will be very careful to say things like, I think, or I expect. But if I say this is what happened, I know that because I asked or I read a thing. Fear and Loathing in general. Traniel Warman Formers was sick. Which I guess is his way of saying Transformers, but Daniel Warren Johnson at the same time.
Yeah.
Batman Gargoyle's gorgeous. Sal inspired a Doctor Doom pitch I had where Lancaster, PA becomes Latveria during the blip. That's fun. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Dan Polson showing some love to the best comic channel around. Hey, that's us. Well, have you considered a back issues on the death of Aqua Baby? It's a strange seminal Aquaman book. I have never considered doing that because I don't know if it really is there like a collection that has that. But anyway, I did. It was funny. There's a thing in the trailer, and I was like, uh-oh. Because, Aquaman has a baby, and Black Manta kills the baby in the comics. So, Black Manta's like, I'm going to kill your whole family. And I'm like, are they going to kill a baby in this movie? no, but maybe. I have a feeling that his wife might die in this movie.
Why would you think that?
I don't know. And Larto Medina says, hello, Tiff and Sal. Hello.
Hi.
What do you think of the incoming resurrection of Magneto? I'm usually against making a whole comic just to bring someone back, but this is Ewing writing it, so I'm optimistic. I mean, easily.
I mean, it was one of those things where it was like I knew it was going to happen. I was, again, every time they kill a character, I hope that they will let it lie for a while. But
we do need Magneto back for this, like, if Apocalypse is coming back.
I also understand if it feels like that we're going to have a pretty fundamental shift coming.
Yeah.
I mean, we could be wrong about that. It's just how it kind of feels, especially with a lot of the current writers, some of the writers who have been with X-Men since the start of Krakoa.
Yeah.
It feels as though they're just trying to do the last things that they wanted to do with some of these characters before things shift. And so it does kind of make sense for them to bring him back. With Ewing doing it, I really liked the way in which they handled his death. And so, you know what? I appreciate a full issue to it. I hope
he's Ewing it.
Yeah, because we didn't get, I really wanted more of Magneto, like
with the Fisher King.
With the Fisher, like just having a minute for himself. So I'm hoping maybe we get some of those like internal conversations for himself, these quiet moments in that. We'll see.
Yeah. I saw a tweet today in which someone in the industry said something like, I know that they're ending the Krakoa era, but I feel like it's too soon. And I was like, oh, so internally they're just talking. They're like, clearly what's happening is at Marvel internally, Krakoa's already done.
Well, yeah, because here's 100%.
And I'm like,
you can
feel it. And it's like, what I wanted to talk to you about was the fact that like, it's not in the hearts and minds of the people who've been reading it for the last 3 years who are like, I'm only here because you shook the monkey tree and made this really exciting status quo. And though you did do it longer than it clearly than Hickman has claimed it was supposed to last.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to talk about that another time?
It could be a thing, yeah.
Because I have feelings about that, because I think if Hickman had ended it when he seemingly might have wanted to end it, I think it would have been like, that was a really cool time period.
Yeah.
But then you had that weird moment in between where it was like it was all over the place. We didn't know what was happening, and then you built up momentum. You brought in some new writers. You kept on ones who had been telling stories, and they kind of kept everything as firm and as like solid as possible as these new like teams were building on top of it.
Right.
And since now we're in the middle of that, it feels like it should have more time, because you gave an opportunity for other creators to come in and to start, taking threads and building their own stories from it. And now you're taking it all away. And now it feels like it's
too soon.
Yeah. So you kind of messed up in that sense. I think they will not see much in the way of ramifications, because I bet what they're going to do is they're going to give something to the fans who don't like Krakoa.
Yeah.
And so there'll be an overall like joyous, chorus.
Yeah. And then the sales will dip significantly because they weren't reading the book to begin with.
Well, we'll see. But, like I never expected Krakoa to go on forever.
Of course not.
And I appreciate that, as opposed to just being like a hard stop, the writers are being given an opportunity to make this work and to bring a close to things. I am interested in what comes next, simply because I'm curious.
Right. How dare they?
No, it's not even that.
Consider
it's a curiosity, because it's like, where do you go? Like, do you go back? Do you just go and just kind of do the everyday, sort of minutia with X-Men? Krakoa afforded you an opportunity to do anything, because you had a cast of characters that you've not been able to assemble.
That's the thing. It's like
you could bring anyone back, and you could have villain and hero working together. They could have conversations that maybe they never could have before.
Yeah.
And so to return to a time where that doesn't happen, are these characters going to be changed? Are they not? Like, again, it's a morbid curiosity for me, but it'll be interesting to see how much longer I read. And they won't. I'm going to try very hard to make it not be one of those things where it's like, well, because it's not the thing I want, I'm not going to read it. It always comes down to me, like the teams, the stories they want to tell. And even the teams, sometimes, even if they're creators I like, if the story isn't one that I'm necessarily like attached to or super interested in, I'll fall off even with, creators I really, really like.
It's true.
but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if you're going to end it and you had a resurrection protocol in place, the least you could do is resurrect everyone so that you have a like very clean new board where anything is possible. Because like that, I don't want to see like secret hubs of resurrection pods that are like, we have like 2/3 of the 5, we can make it, but you're gonna be wrong or sideways. It's like, I want everyone to be back. If you're gonna reset everything, like bring it all back,
right,
and then let them take over to do something new. But like, there are characters who are dead now who had been resurrected before, who now there's so it's back to where it was before we even did Krakoa for that character, except they might have been in the background of like a Paco Medina scene. Like, that's not cool, man. Anyway,
like I said, like that's why I'm curious. What is next?
Yeah,
what's next?
Right, exactly.
So I'm gonna enjoy what I have for right now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna worry too much about
I wouldn't either.
Next.
Yeah,
but I am thinking about it for sure.
Yeah. Scuba J, so many writers seem to get worse the longer they go, but Mark Waid is writing some of the best ongoing books. Shazam and Teen Titans are a lot of fun. They are. No, it's not that they get worse. It's that they refuse to change, or they think that they're done growing, or sometimes their styles just don't fit the era that they evolve into. You know, like Jerry Conway wrote The Death of Gwen Stacy and wrote like a really modern feeling Carnage book. That's really unexpected. But like Howard Mackie, he wrote like some of the biggest books of his time. And then when he returns, he's writing the books exactly the same way he did like 30 years ago. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But like, you pick an artist or writer as an artist, for the style that they fit best to. If you need a book that feels like a Howard Mackie book, well, I know a guy named Howard Mackie who could do a damn good job doing that.
Right. But like, if you look at Louise Simonson.
Right. Like Louise's been doing books for like 45 years. And she's that Jean Grey book's incredible. Great.
It's so good. It's so modern feeling.
Yeah, and we do wish her a speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
I know that she was recently hospitalized, but she's in good spirits, and she's got a good, strong heart and a great partner in life. Yeah. So we do wish her and her family the greatest.
Exactly.
So yeah, X-Men.
Let's chat. Oh, we didn't even get into X-Men yet, did we?
No.
Okay, I was like, wait, we haven't talked about this yet. We just did super chats. X-Force number 45 came out this week. Yeah. This is one of those where we're talking about like writers who have been here since the start of Krakoa. Right? Ben Percy on this. It's been Ben Percy on this.
On X-Force.
And Wolverine, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and Ghost Rider.
Who was not a Krakoa book.
But it was for a second.
It was for 1 second. There was a friggin' logo.
With art by Robert Gill. This is, Ben had an opportunity to really set up and react to a lot of things throughout the history with Krakoa. But one of the major things that he's been dealing with has been Beast and Colossus. Colossus is a character who it's funny because it's like we look at what's happened to some of these characters where it's with Beast, like they're really like doubled down, they tripled down, they quadrupled down on the Beast is a bad guy thing.
Yes.
And then they really dragging Colossus through the mud here.
Like, neither of them got to enjoy Krakoa.
Well, Colossus did for
like what, a month?
A little bit. Like a little bit. Like, yeah, he really never got a chance to enjoy it. And we kind of knew that, but the way in which his story is being presented, and maybe it's because I'm not like the world's greatest Colossus fan. Like I like Piotr and I appreciate him as a character and what he stands for and his like relationship with the X-Men and with magic and all of that. Like good guy.
Yeah.
Right. I really am enjoying the way in which they are dragging him through the mud because Colossus is the kind of guy that can have a reaction to this.
Absolutely.
And hopefully they'll allow him to have that. But in the wake of the last Hellfire Gala, X-Force kind of broke up. A bunch of them were taken away because Colossus being controlled by Mikhail and the Chronicler made that happen. But Sage and Domino did not go. So they've been trying desperately to find where the rest of them are. They have a ring that is Mikhail's. And they've been keeping it in a no space tumor because that way it doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
They try to get a hold of Deadpool, and Deadpool's like, "Oh, hey, I'm actually part of the Avengers now." So like that whole like 90s era X-Force thing, I'm good. And they're like, "Dude, all you wanted to do was be on the X-Force, and like we need you." And
he's like, "Yeah, but Krakoa's over, so I don't want to do it."
It's a hilariously written scene. I really appreciate it. Wade's at the pool, which means that he's not really wearing his costume, so you get to see like
his gross body.
Yeah. They call him And he's just like, oh yeah, no, ha, ha, ha. Like I'm in this thing, and they're like, it's a video call, we can see you. And he's like, oh,
sorry.
It's just well handled. It's a nice bit of levity. But the two of them, but Sage and Domino are like, how are we gonna deal with this ring? And I think it's Domino's like, no, is it Sage? I can't remember who it is, but one of them's like, I know a guy. I know a guy who might be able to help us with this. So it's Sage. She's like, I know a guy will deal with this. Meanwhile, Mikhail has turned his attention from Krakoa now to Orcus because they're like standing in his way.
Yeah.
He's like, excuse me, I'm a mutant. Screw you. So he wants in there. And so he's asked the Chronicler to cut off Colossus. And the Chronicler's like, that will probably kill him.
He's like, who cares?
Well, for the Chronicler, he's like, I really don't want to do that. Also, the Chronicler is like under Mikhail's thumb and he doesn't want to be. And he was hoping to utilize
Colossus to do it, to extricate himself.
Yeah, from his situation. So they turn their attention to a member of Orcus. They figure it out based on like reading news articles and like studying all this stuff. And then there's this one woman, her name's June. She is often at high level meetings, but not really a part of them. She's on the outskirts of photos, that kind of stuff. So they're going to take her and they're going to, indoctrinate her. Essentially, they're going to convince her via Chronicler's ability to write.
Yep.
And Chronicler will use this opportunity in this issue in order to get the upper hand, which he does, which does free Colossus for a moment. Like Colossus is in like a room someplace and like in this like space that Mikhail can create.
Yeah.
His own sort of like no space in a way. Where there's like a blank canvas and he paints like this image, and it's incredible. Like it's incredible the image he paints.
Oh wow, yeah.
Like it's so great. It's Mikhail just consuming his brother. It's very evocative of was it Saturn?
Yes,
consuming. There's a name for this painting.
Don't we see it a lot? You've mentioned it on the show.
I've mentioned it so many times, and my brain's just not working right now. But I'm sure like 12,000 comments will show up after you guys all Google it.
His son.
Yeah. Oh, devouring his son is. Oh wow, I was so close. I'm so proud of myself. Yeah, the Goya painting. It has shades of that for certain. It is.
Nice.
It is that painting is so fascinating to me and just so hideous. It like lives in my brain.
I love how many comic book artists are like, "Ooh, that one."
Yeah.
It keeps coming up.
But Colossus is like, what have I done?
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. All right, awesome. Who does Sage know who can help with this ring? It's Doctor Strange. I'm like, hey, okay. They're like, maybe it's magic.
Yeah.
And
he's like, no.
He's like, no, it's not. So he's like, what it is, and he explains as much as he can. And then they're like, okay, cool, thanks. And listen, what you need to know is that Mikhail gets shot.
Oh no.
And Colossus is like, oh no. My brother. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Cool. I don't know where this is going next, but like the X-Force is taking care of this because of the fact that Mikhail has been shot. It weakens his ability to control
Colossus.
His
world. Yeah.
His world, which means that the other members of X-Force will now be freed, presumably. So I appreciate Percy's ability to, put his toys back in the box, but in a narratively satisfying way.
Yeah. Bear Farmer says, hey guys, weird question, but I feel like it's important to ask. How often do you go back and watch your favorite superhero film? I've easily seen Spider-Verse 130 times, and I don't know if that's healthy. I haven't seen any movie that many times, I don't think, but I can say that I revisit my favorite movies. It doesn't matter if it's a superhero movie or not. So yeah, but it's not often. Like it's not even once a year, but sometimes it'll be like 2 or 3 times a year. It depends on what movie it is and what mood I'm in. Movies are very much, it's about when you want to look at your favorite painting or when you want to hear your favorite song. It's about consuming art. And there's no real like barometer on health, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
You?
I don't know, honestly. In terms of superhero films, like I'll just be like, oh man.
Oh, 30. Okay.
Oh, 30.
That's more reasonable.
Spider-Verse 1.
Oh, okay.
30 times.
Fair enough. That's a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've seen it 30 times since it came out, then like that's not nearly as bad.
No, that's fine. Then 130 times? Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's some movies I've seen probably that many times.
Yeah, I've seen Star Wars at least like 30, 50 times.
Yeah.
When I say Star Wars, I mean like the trilogy. Because oftentimes I don't watch one.
Right.
I watch 2 or 3.
There must be movies, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
There are just some movies where it's just like, oh, I can't help myself. I'll watch.
Yep.
When
I've seen The Fugitive at least 50 times.
But no, everybody's got their their ways in which there's comfort, and like there is something I think that is healthy about that, to know that that sometimes you just need something that will ease you.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it helps with like anxiety, or just, it reminds you of a period of time, because when you first see a movie will be tied to your memories,
to the world you were in.
Yeah. So it's like when you watch that movie, it's an opportunity to remember, to feel emotions associated with that, which I think is just fine, as long as you're also, checking out new things too.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. When I was depressed in college, I watched Last Crusade in my dorm every Saturday.
Okay, then I might have said there was a little bit of a flag there.
Yeah. John Ty, if there was a crossover comic with Doctor Strange and Constantine, how would they interact?
Well, we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Well, that's in your perfect world where Doctor Strange is written by Simon Spurrier, but yeah.
Oh, I mean, okay.
Alden Tolbert, Bats of Zur is a disease. Alfred and Bat might be a cure for Bruce and his ego. We'll certainly see about that. We'll talk more about it in a little while. More X-Men.
Yeah,
more.
Immortal X-Men came out this week. It's Kieran Gillen and Lucas Warneck. This is the story of Xavier on Krakoa alone, along with Sebastian Shaw and Celine, who are going after him. They've teamed up. They're working with Orcus to some degree.
Great.
Because Sebastian wants his
money. Yeah.
It's money.
Should have killed him, Kate.
Well, she didn't. But so you got that story going on, and then you've got a whole slew of mutants who were forced out during Hellfire Gala by Xavier. He assumes he's killed them all. They've woken up. They're in the desert with Exodus, right?
Right.
And Hope and others, right? They've recovered, I believe, Egg in this, and now they've got the rest of the 5. Isn't that awesome?
Okay.
In the last issue, Mother Righteous was there. She's like, "Oh, I got forced out too because I'm surprised I'm a mutant." I'm like, "Okay, so you're behind all of this." Kieran Gillen's a big fan of Mother Righteous, so I'm like, "Cool, we're doing a thing here. We're doing a thing." A whole part of her thing during Sins of Sinister was like basically to make a religion to feed herself with like their like love
their belief,
and their belief. So I have a feeling we're doing something similar here.
Yeah.
All of the Sinisters have really desperately wanted to make essentially like their own like phalanx, and above that they want to reach out there. But supposedly there's already one that made it out there, right? Like only one of our Sinisters.
Yeah, we never paid off the phalanx.
I know.
Damn it.
That was very much going to be a Hickman thing. Let's be honest. I think he was the one that wanted to deal with that. The closest we got is just having Nimrod here. But anyway, so she's here. They found the other part of Krakoa. Remember the piece that they were trying to get Araco back together.
Yeah.
Well, Okara back together. The other piece is there. Right?
Okay.
Like Okara.
So they go there.
Like it's in the desert.
Oh.
Mother Righteous is like, "Behold, I found it." And they're like, "Yay!" Right?
Right. Some of them have like apartments there. They're like, "Oh, sweet."
Destiny is like, listen, I know I don't have my sight any longer. I don't have my visions, but like that lady, everything is bad. You're all bad. And they're all like, "Shut up, Destiny.
You're the worst. Without you, we wouldn't have that Inferno."
And I'm like, admittedly speaking, I'm like with knowing Mother Righteous, Destiny, I hate to say it, but I'm with you right now.
Yeah.
And like that is just Gillen's ability to make me like take on a character who I'm like, I hate you, being like, damn it.
Right. But you're not wrong.
But you're not wrong. I'm in Camp Destiny right now, and I don't want to be there, but I'm here anyway. But she's upset because she's like, I don't know where my wife is, and I need to get back.
Isn't she dead or something?
Yeah, we all know she's not.
No.
But so we got that going on over there, and that's like random Wolverines have been showing up. Like, what the hell is
more
that?
Wolverines? I thought we got all the Wolverines.
Right? Where are they coming from? What's going on with that? Right? There's also like they find Jean Grey, and she's seemingly murmuring about like things that are going on in the Louise Simonson book.
Didn't she die?
Did she or didn't?
Well, she's right there.
Well, she's right there, but also
that's
Apocalypse
cool.
is here.
What?
But like Apocalypse is talking to Exodus, being like, "This is your desert. This is like from your nightmare." Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, what is happening?
Okay,
here, right? And so we're gonna find out, because like Apocalypse has like control of Jean Grey. So you're like, there's so much going on. So much going on with that. Meanwhile, on the island, Celine wants the external gate. That's what she wants. And Sebastian Shaw's like, I got to keep her happy. I got to keep this chick happy.
Yeah.
Because like she's Celine, and she's full of herself, and
but she's also super she's old and she's powerful.
And she's like super hot too.
That's true.
But he dons his Hellfire armor, I believe that's what he calls it, which is like a Tony Starkian looking.
Oh yeah, look at that,
like fancy outfit. And she's like, but isn't that kind of like lame for you to wear that because you're not in charge of the Hellfire Club anymore? And he's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
So they go and they attack Xavier, right?
Okay.
And Xavier's like, oh crap, I am very ill prepared to fight a Sebastian Shaw Iron Man and a Selene. So he reaches out to Emma via telepathy, and she's like, are we speaking?
Shut up, Emma.
And he's like, now is not the time.
Yeah. Moving on.
Now is not the time. Help me. So she's like, fine, here. And she like pings him some information.
Mm-hmm.
And the information is a whole bunch of like stuff about how Kingpin has taken over the Hellfire Club, and she gives him a whole bunch of passwords. And so he like reaches into Sebastian Shaw's mind. He had like a block on it supposedly. And Selene's like, I'm not wearing one of those because I'm Selene and I don't need to do that.
Right,
and
he just turns her off.
And besides, like, if he does attack me on like the psychic plane, you'll be able to take him down physically. And he's like, okay, cool. Like,
yeah,
Sebastian's
right,
like, whatever. But it doesn't work anyway. His blocker. And Xavier's like, I know what you want.
Right.
And I know that like Kingpin's in charge of the Hellfire Club, and I have all these passwords, and I can give it back to you if you just like leave for a bit.
Right.
Like, just get out of here. And he's like, oh no, Selene, he got into my suit and he's definitely like taken over. Oh no, and he blasts her. He's like, okay, Charles, listen, this is the deal right now. I'm gonna go deal with that because you're right. I want my money.
Yeah.
And I want my Hellfire Gala back. So I'm
right.
gonna take her.
Okay.
But I listen, she just wants the gate. All right. Think about that.
Right.
I'll be back. Because like, damn, like I don't know what we unleashed on this world. He's like, but like those bodies you left behind, those are scary. And he's like, what are you talking about? I didn't kill anybody. And you're like, what?
Well, what were they?
So then we see like Charles wandering through Krakoa, and he comes to clearly Sinister's lab. Where there's like a monkey with like the Cyclops monkey, and he like points, and there's like a mirror with like a diamond on his forehead that says like, and it just says, please don't kill yourself, please. And I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? This is Gillen, man. We're not gonna know where he's going with this until we get there, and that's okay because it's freaking amazing.
I think it's he teased. I was looking on Twitter to see.
Yeah,
I think it might be done at 18.
That's okay. He's got 2 more issues. There's so much stuff he can do with that.
Yeah,
and that's not going to be coming out until
February? December 27th.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wow.
So right at the end of the year. That's fine. That's fine. He's got 2 more issues. This issue was jam-packed, but it didn't feel rushed. And like, everybody complains about like decompression, but like not with a Gillen book. It's just there's so much happening, but like I said, like, it doesn't feel rushed. Just well written, great stuff. And I love the fact that like Gillen plays ball with the other creators. Like what's Simonson doing? Well, then that's what my Jean Grey is going to be talking
exactly.
about. And I absolutely love that about him.
That's great.
X-Men number 27 came out this week. This is Jerry Duggan and Phil Noto on art.
Yay!
Man, like as much as I love Pepe Larraz's take on the Krakoan era, and I really feel like he put a stamp early on how it was supposed to feel and that vibe. And like Noto's art, while incredible, does not have that same look.
No, but Noto was doing New Mutants during that time, so it had a very different look, but it was that look.
Yeah, like but I'm just saying, to put him on this main book, I was like, oh, this is gonna be an interesting shift, and it looks incredible. And I at this point, I'm just like, whatever. It just looks great. Like it's just so much fun.
That's great.
I like Duggan on this series quite a bit. This is the like Kate or Catherine Pride. She's mad about everything.
Yeah, no, she's every book she appears in, she's pissed. Ms. Marvel, Uncanny Avengers, this.
She's had a rough go of this whole Krakoa thing.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't use the gate system, ended up getting involved with the Hellfire Club. Now, like, she just wants things, like, she wants people back. She wants action. Sync is in charge of the X-Men as of right now, and has charged her with reconnaissance, because like who better to do reconnaissance than Kate Pryde, because now she can use the Krakoan gates.
Yes.
Weird, right?
And we don't know why. Do we know? Have we figured that out yet?
I don't think so.
Nah.
In this issue, whilst doing like a bit of a survey, like how many people are, or census, how many X or mutants are still around, she ends up finding Juggernaut. They're like, we thought you died. And he's like, well, I did.
Well, I didn't. And I'm not a mutant either.
and he has an adamantium collar around his neck, which they keep telling him is tethered to the person next door, and that like it's a noose around their neck kind of thing.
Okay.
She's like, all right, and she goes, takes a look, and it's Cyclops. Cyclops is on the other side, and he is strapped down, and it's a pretty like gruesome image for her because there he is. He has no mask on, and they've sewn his eyes shut.
Ugh. Yeah.
She doesn't know if he's like awake, drugged, like whatever, but he seemingly is unconscious. So she goes to reach in order to free him, and then she pauses and she takes a deeper look and determines that they've like booby trapped his body because they knew that people would be coming to free the X-Men, and even though they didn't think that Scott was alive or the Juggernaut was alive, they still set it up that
just in case.
Yeah. So Kate does free Juggernaut.
Cool.
And it says like, if you just wait one day, then you can bust yourself out of here. But I need to finish the census. And he's like, sure, no problem. Which he holds to it. Absolutely
okay, cool.
Holds to it.
That's nice.
The rest of the like X-Men, meet up, and what they want to do is they're going to go talk to Reed Richards because they need the information that Professor X pulled out of his brain.
Oh, from the Zdarsky book.
Yeah.
Yay.
They're like, we need that information.
Yeah, that like thing that denies you your X gene.
Yeah, to like mask it, to hide it.
Yeah.
They're like, if we had that, this would make life a lot easier for us, right? Because there's intense sentinels out there. So like we got to go get that, but how are we going to do it?
Well, I don't think Reed has it, right? Like Chuck took it.
Yeah, but they think they're like, maybe we can go in his brain.
Oh, and yeah, he just hid it. There's like sections of it's really well drawn.
So we've got Shadowcat, Sync, Talon, Ms. Marvel, and Rasputin 4. They're our team here, and they've recovered an old Cerebro. They were going to use Emma. Emma is too busy with Stark, so they're like, Rasputin, like you have psychic ability from Kid Omega in your Chimera like build. It's not as strong, but like you're up, hun.
Right.
And she's like, I got this, because I love her.
Yeah, because she's very
like to the point.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, okay, so it turns out the Fantastic Four kind of took a minute for themselves. They needed a break.
Yep.
From recent activities in their lives.
Yeah, from whatever book.
And so they went up to Ben Grimm's family farm.
Yeah.
And they're just relaxing there. So they take a car and remove the engine, and then use Rasputin's like mutant abilities, and they fly the car there.
Okay.
A la Harry Potter.
Right.
Because they can't just be driving around.
No,
right?
Yeah.
It does afford us a really great moment where Ms. Marvel is utilizing Google Maps, basically.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
She's like, wait, we missed it.
Yeah, because we're flying over it.
We're flying. I'm not used to using it while in the air. It's cute. The banter is great. So like Rasputin 4 is like, all right, let's go. And they're like, whoa, hang on. Like, relax. Like these are friendlies.
Yeah.
She immediately runs into the thing, and the thing's like, we're just here to kind of chill.
Yeah.
And she's like, she punches him.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, that was no.
Right.
You can't just punch Ben Grimm. They're like, these are good people. We're not here to like, they're not enemies.
Right.
And she's like, I mean, who cares? We just need to get to the point, right? Like oh. And then Johnny Storm shows up. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna kick your butt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna. She's like, you can't get through my skin.
Right.
And he's like, I'm pretty sure I can. So she uses her telepathy and she just puts him to sleep.
Right.
Sleep. Done.
It's good to know.
So they get to the house, and like Reed and Sue are there, and Reed's like eating chips, and like he wipes the crumbs off on his shirt. It's such a like I don't know, like a very human moment for him.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Dude who's like often like thought of as like a weird robot kind of man. He's just like
meh. Yeah.
He knows that she's a chimera. He's like, oh, she's got like these 4, in her. She's like, listen, here's what we need to do. Ms. Marvel tries to stop her from,
attacking.
Yeah, from doing what she wants to do. And she's like, I need the information that's in your brain, so I'm going to do that now. And he's like, oh, no, you're not.
Right.
It's like, I'll figure it out on my own. Thanks. I'm not going to let you, like, that was an invasion of my privacy, what Charles did. And I'm not going to let someone else in there. So Sue throws up a bubble around her. And then he's like, well, she's got 4, maybe 5 mutants in there. She walks through it, and he's like, I guess it was 5. She's like, yeah, it's 5. This is Kitty Pryde. So yes, you can't stop me.
Right.
Sorry. At this point, the thing shows back up. It's this is a running gag of her punching him.
Right.
I like it quite a bit. They have a really good conversation because with Ms. Marvel there, I think it kind of helps to like diffuse the situation just for her presence there. But Reed realizes that he's like, oh, okay, yeah, what Charles did was uncool, but you guys have had it rough since the start.
Yeah.
And maybe instead of me just being a dick about everything, I should realize that that information could help you guys.
Right.
And that I should try to actually help you. Okay, yeah.
All right, great.
No, go for it. She chucks on the Cerebro helmet. They go in there. Sue goes along with them.
Okay.
In like the mental space. And there's just a big hole.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, it's gone. Okay. Well, so someone mentioned something and it triggers something for Kamala. She's like, oh, that's really funny because Xavier mentioned to me that my Terrigenesis masked my mutant ability.
Right.
And Reed just goes like, ha! That's it.
Like that gave him the idea and basically refilled the hole with like that.
He's
concept.
like, that's
I use Terrigenesis. Yeah.
He's like, that's how I would do it. He's like, a small enough dose of it wouldn't get rid of it. It would mask it. He's like, give me some time. I'll make it.
Yeah.
happen.
I'll whip it up for you.
Yeah.
Great.
And then they leave and Ben Grimm's like, I want a rematch with that one.
Right.
With the one that punched me. And the end, like the closing of this issue is that remember how Firestar, damn it, Firestar is sleeping with the enemy essentially.
Yes,
she's like pretending
to be a double agent. Yeah,
because Jean Grey told her to do that.
And no one remembers it except for Jean, and she was dead, but she's not anymore.
Yeah, well, and Firestar doesn't remembers that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but who's going to believe her? That's the point.
Right. But she's having dinner with Dr. Stasis, the Sinister clone. And they mentioned the fact that Juggernaut did try to make his escape. And they're like, well, we don't know how that happened. But like, it was a good thing Nimrod was there. And like, he beat him to death, essentially. And so I think he beat him to death. Maybe he just beat him.
Near death.
Yeah, he beat his head in.
Oh, okay.
And so he scheduled him for an autopsy. And what they're going to do is they're going to take the crystal out and he wants to consume it himself.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, that's the last thing.
Yeah.
We don't need a sinister Juggernaut out there. It's just a really like solid issue. Duggan's not only progressing the story of the fall of X and the X-Men, being underground, but gives a little moment for just like some nice, levity and some fun character interactions, and that like proving yet again that the X-Men still, or the mutants of Krakoa, do have allies, even if it seems bleak, and the fact that it's not really reflected in other books. So it was nice to have this opportunity to go, oh look, it's the Fantastic Four.
Right.
They've run kind of rocky footing.
Yeah,
but like it's also kind of humanizing for Reed. So
absolutely,
I appreciate this issue.
That's great. Yay, the X-Men hour.
X-Men.
Hayden Hamilton says, reading Predator vs. Wolverine just made me want to see it done by Daniel Warren Johnson. The work and time y'all put in is truly appreciated. Thank you, Hayden. And yeah, no, I wanted that too. I'll take Aliens and or Predators and or crossovers between the two properties by D-Dubs any day of the week, please. The Telphonics, busy tonight, stopped in to say hi, see you in a rewatch. Thanks very much, Telphonics. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next time. Nick Barucci, thanks for your support, man. Thank you very much for your generosity. Hey, all, if you love the show, hit that thumbs up. This is to you guys. Likes are free. Support is priceless. I usually get to watch the shows later. Glad I'm catching it live. Support from your friends at Dynamite. Thank you very much, Nick, for your support. Thank you very much for your continued watching the show, and for the good books that are coming out from Dynamite, like the Gargoyle series that you enjoy so well. Tyler Kruzik, thank you very much, Tyler, for your support. Wraith 1701, thank you for doing what you do. Y'all are great. Thank you very much, Wraith. You are great too. Tyler Kruzik, there we go. Here's the catch up. First time I caught you live. You, Benny, Rob are what got me into comics. Love you guys for thanks for everything you do in the community. Well, thank you very much.
That's awesome.
No, I didn't. That was just a mistake. Where is that?
Scroll down.
That one? Oh, Hayden Hamilton. My last comedy show was in a comic shop in St. Louis. A comic shop, a bar, and comedy shows all in one place. It's a really cool night / little venue. Nice. All right. Well, you should have named the bar, man. Drop it into the chat. Don't do a super chat for it, but just tell people where it is. I've heard that is a thing people do in LA. So I'd like to hear that it's being done really in Missouri. Girk Pectus, I know how you feel about Transformers show after being used to Batman the Animated Series, Gargoyles, X-Men, etc. Transformers was boring torture as a kid. I don't think it's torture, but even Thundercats is pretty rough to watch as well. And those shows were toy commercials. There's no denying it. I appreciated them as a child. to some extent. I'd rather write as a kid. I would have rather had stories that I made up using the template of a couple of episodes of the show with the action figures. Grayson Red, I'm pro Krakoa era. It's the most interesting and invested I've been in X-Men.
I agree with that. Additionally, as much as there's so much happening, it does absolutely feel penetrable.
Yeah.
Like,
despite the fact there's so many books, like I know people who aren't reading the book or aren't reading the era or aren't reading any of the series are the first to say it's impenetrable and I can't follow it.
Right, but like, with the modern length of comics and modern storytelling methods, it's a lot easier to read the issues that are there because there aren't as many pages, and the way in which they tell stories, it's very different than they did like in the 90s when, like, for me, some of that X-Men stuff is impenetrable because it's so busy.
Yeah.
There's so much happening. Whether or not it's a lot of story is one thing, but like the pages themselves are just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, like they're still, they're growing. Like everything, you got people who have been writing the book for 16 years. You have people who have never written a comic book in their lives. You have people who have never drawn a comic book outside of like their own like pitch deck. And then people who are also using their art to change the entire like way in which we view comic books, visually. There's a lot of like, it's not going to be a seamless and clean transition.
Right.
Like we did a GBU episode on this channel where we just highlighted X-Men #1 from Claremont and Jim Lee. And it's like, it's cool. It's got a lot of cool stickers in it and a lot of great pinups, but like, is it a comic book that you can actually like really read? Right. And people really got mad. They were like, oh, you're haters. And it's like, oh, I hate criticism or objectively looking at something from 35 years ago and trying to make sense of it or looking at it from an anthropological standpoint. But why would I do that when I just want to see like Rogue naked? Just run that for me. Girk Bectus says Grace Randolph and test screeners said that they did kill Aquababy and lots of people walked out. I don't want to see that, but that's the director. If that's the director's vision, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in what Grace Randolph says. It's not like she works there.
Additionally, if that is true, you just put a spoiler.
Yeah, you just spoiled the entire goddamn movie. Thanks, man. Cool. CJ Hall, ComicPop, woo! Catch all on the replay.
Regardless of how much I don't really care about that
movie. I
don't
care, but like
it's still not cool.
Somebody else does. Rodney Coverdale, hey guys, good work as always. And that Transformers book, wow, X-Men is so good too. Agreed.
Heck yeah, thanks,
it is. Moving on. What do you want? You want to do yours? Yeah, let's do Gods or GODS #1
this week, written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Valeria Skeety and colors by Marta Grazia. I just want to give a shout out.
Marta Grazia, great colorist. Yeah,
and like talk about like getting Hoxpox vibes, just because it's like it has that polish.
Yes, it
has that look. It has that, I don't know. It's slick and cool looking.
Yeah.
And it's also Hickman writing it. I think for a lot of people, this book might have flown under their radar for a number of reasons. One, it's $10 book. It is longer.
It is longer, but not $10 longer.
It's 64 pages.
64 isn't bad.
And I think for like a big 2 book, that's not bad. That isn't a bunch of samples basically from creative teams that maybe you're not
that's
sure.
True. It's not like 6 stories in one. It's
one by writers that maybe and maybe you don't know. Like
that's
this is just one continuous story for 64 pages. I'm like, for me,
it's not bad.
That's acceptable. But
that's true.
Like, that's not in your budget. There's no shade there.
Yeah.
No shade. I think this coming on the heels of Ultimate Invasion.
Yes. This was a pleasure to read, unlike Ultimate Invasion.
I was going to say, I think it might have hurt people's opinion.
Oh, 100%.
Because I think Ultimate Invasion didn't sit as well with a lot of folks.
Nope.
Let me tell you right now, though, this is not that. I only read the first issue of Ultimate Invasion, and I have to tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. This feels very much like something Hickman. I'm not that he didn't want to maybe write Ultimate Invasion. This just felt like Hickman's passion and excitement.
Yep.
Like at the beginning of Hox and Pox.
Yeah, this is Hox and Pox. This is New Avengers. Like this is Hickman at his marveliest.
Yeah.
As opposed to Ultimate Invasion, which felt like a homework assignment.
Yeah.
I read all 4 issues of Ultimate Invasion and wasted my money on that one. This is not a waste of money. This is a well executed comic book. It's beautiful looking
Yes.
and also well constructed. It is also very Hickman. It is Hickmanianist.
Yes.
It's very Hickman.
And
there's a lady all in white. There's a like a MacGuffin.
okay, hold on.
There is
hold on,
a
hold
made
on.
up bunch of stuff.
I need you to stop, because here's what's going to happen: is everyone's only going to hear what Sal has to say about
Right.
this, and then they're going to go from there, as opposed to hearing someone who actually understood what was happening in this book.
I understood
because
what was happening.
The fact is, I think that this is Hickman taking like what he thinks Doctor Strange is and making a new version of it, which makes absolute sense that there's going to be a woman all in white, because that's his Clea.
Right. Oh, no, absolutely.
And I'm like, yeah. And because like, there's an entire organization that's that. And like, it makes sense because of the fact that they are meant to be more of the science side of it. Like, this is shades of Aaron. This is shades of Doctor Strange. This is shades of Constantine. This is shades of Good Omens.
Yeah.
That's what this book is, but it's all through Hickman's lens.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of like Hickman-isms, I say the Hickman-isms are more that it's like snappy dialogue, wild concepts, like things that come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's his strengths. A lot of all of Hickman's strengths are being used in this issue.
Yeah, but like when you look at Wynn,
it's just Doctor Strange.
It's Doctor Strange through the lens of Constantine. It's not quite him either. It's not John at all.
Yeah.
But it's also not Stephen.
Yeah.
Like it is its own thing. But like when someone asked before, like what would it be like if Doctor Strange and Constantine hung out? A little bit like some of the
you get Wynn
that happen here, kind of. Constantine would be way more of a bastard.
Somebody asked, is there going to be is there a big helmet?
No.
There's no helmet.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's not quite
not all of them.
No, not at all.
No. But yeah, no, you're right. There's also a Quantum Leap joke in this.
Yes.
It's a Quantum Leap theming reference. I'm like,
Yes.
what?
Yeah.
Why is Ziggy in this book?
Because
Zoom?
Yeah, well, because like there's two forces here. There's the natural order of things and the powers that be. And Wynn is the agent of the powers that be. He's the avatar of it, the only one. And then there's the natural order of things, which is this larger conglomerate that serves a god as well. Like it's all about gods and the people who work for them, essentially.
Yes. Or people who claim to be gods. It's not
right.
Yeah.
And
it's
then
not like Zeus.
And the natural order of things, that is Aiko. Who is she's dressed all in white, but then you see the rest of the group. They're all
but that's their idea.
The natural order of things. It's meant to be clean. It's like this is how it's meant to be. We're like we approach it from scientific. We approach it from
purity
by the numbers. And I'm like, so it works 100%.
Yeah, thematically it works. They all work.
But then when you put him in like the red coat and you have him with a woman for a little bit with this white hair, and I'm like, I kind of love this like alternate version of Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and well, it's weird.
But he's his own guy.
It's weird to do this, like it's Ultimate Doctor Strange,
but it's
in the 616, and he meets Doctor Strange and knows him personally,
right? Because then you have Dimitri, who is like, I cannot wait to figure out how this dynamic works, and that's where I was getting Good Omens from. Now, I did not read the books. I watched the first.
There's only one book of Doctor.
I did not read the book.
You're good.
I did not. I only watched the first season of the show.
But
like that,
you watched the first season.
That's what I'm saying. I only watched the first season.
You're good.
But like that relationship. Right?
Yes.
Like that's what I'm getting from Wynn Dimitri in a way.
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
The two of them, but like Dimitri is also kind of like his Wong. Like so.
Yes.
Like, but it's not. Like it's not so derivative and it's not so
it's basic. Parallel, but not it's not derivative. It makes efforts to address those parallels to look like head on.
Right.
And distinguish from what it is like aping off of.
Right. And I did note too that again, I know for a lot of people this sticker, it's a lot, right? But like I said, you're still getting 64 pages, which when you think about the fact that the normal comic book tends to be
28
or if that.
Yeah.
You're getting more.
Right. You are getting more.
You're
like Sonic, you are able to get more.
Like if it was supposed to be $5,
right?
You're getting
right. If you were to double the price and page real estate of a $5 book, you are technically getting more than double.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like that is worth it. And it also notes that this is an enormous extra-sized first issue, which makes me think that all the issues going forward will return to a normal price tag and a normal length.
Yeah.
They wanted to do like an image style kickoff for this issue, for this book.
This book should have been $1. Marvel should have eaten the cost and made it a huge book for $1.
No.
DC's done it before.
They have.
It makes a lot of sense.
No, I'm okay with this. But
I agree. I'm just saying.
Because like this is a book I really wanted to read. If you like magic, you're probably going to like this book. If you are like Doctor Strange at all, you're probably going to like this book. If you liked Good Omens, you might like this book.
That's true.
Like if you like Hickman, you're probably going to like this book, but it's not just a read for people who like Hickman. I've seen in the chat, people are saying like trade weight on it. Only like if you're trade weight on, if you're not a fan of Hickman. I disagree with that. Trade weight on this if you don't have it in your budget.
Right. Exactly.
If you have any interest in reading this, go grab it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not just for people who like Hickman. If you like magic, trust me.
Yeah. You're also going to get
going to enjoy this because there's a lot of it. There's a lot of big concepts. There's a lot of like, you know, like, all right, let's learn about this. Let's do some on the street stuff. Wynn goes and deals with something. I'm like, man, I miss when Doctor Strange would go and deal with stuff like this.
Yeah. You also get a complete story.
You got a full story. You got a background on this character. And then they deal with something larger. And then we move on to the next thing. Like, what's to come?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
But not in an annoying, like, cliffhangery way.
Right.
Like in a setup kind of way. So, like, even if you only ever read God's #1, you are still going to get a full, rich, complete story full of characters, some of whom you do recognize and some of whom you will be introduced to and will get, I think, like, the gist of their elements without much effort. This is it was also a very easy read.
It was.
And it's weird compared to Ultimate Invasion, where that was very difficult to read. Not because it was like difficult to understand, but more because it was very much work. This was not work. This was a fun book that also just looked good.
No, we'll get into that. But like story-wise, like the first section of this, you are going to get the Hickman treatment of like telling story, but without like an info dump.
No, none of those.
Just a break. It's like a chapter break where they're just like, here's the past, and what we're doing is like, hey, we need to learn about Wynn.
Right.
Like, who is Wynn? Let's talk a little bit about him. Let's establish his relationships while also world building. Like the first part of this book really serves to set up the character and the world that we're existing in within Marvel.
Exactly.
Which I was like, this is really well handled and at a good clip.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm like, wow.
Well, and it's funny. It's almost like you imagine that Hickman maybe like had this pitch in his like deck, you know, like 10 years ago, but now after everything that he has worked on, it's everything that he does well.
Right.
You know what I mean? But done at it could have been, this could have rung as self-indulgent and it doesn't.
Yeah. I also appreciate that like the like cataclysmic event that occurs in this book that groups have to come together could literally be told from anyone's perspective. Dr. Doom is there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I would have watched, like,
absolutely.
Doctor Strange is there.
Yep.
There's a lot of characters.
Reed Richards is there. Black Panther is there.
Yeah, T'Challa is there. Makes sense. Like, it honestly makes sense. They are gonna tackle this.
It's also Hickman's favorite characters.
Well, yeah. But like, when you think about them, it makes sense.
Yeah.
For why that they're there, because they're tackling things with Earth science, they're tackling things with Earth magic, and then you know they're going to tackle it from this other perspective. And we're doing all these things, and you see like Wynn being like, all right, well, let's do our thing, and that's where that Constantine vibe kind of comes from. So if you like some of Constantine, like maybe you prefer the movie. If you prefer the movie, you might like this. It's not quite that dark.
Yeah, it's
like grim, gritty version of Hellblazer.
No, American Constantine's a jerk
and sarcastic,
and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, that's kind of fun. The other one is like depressed.
Yeah, right, and that's what you're gonna get here. So if you like that, this Wynn might be a character you're interested in. In terms of art, I think Skeety did an incredible job. It's not often that on a magic themed book that we get art of this caliber from Marvel. I feel like it hasn't been like that in a minute, unless it was X themed.
Yeah.
I really like Skeety's art. I always have. I loved his character designs. I think he does an incredible job. He loves those little half gloves. That's a Skeetyism.
Oh yeah.
But I really enjoy the way that he does panel layouts. I really love his character's emotions. Marta Grassi, I think did an incredible job on lighting in this book, like coloring in general, but like there's a great lighting in this, and it's a very specific look. I've seen it before, but I really appreciated it.
You need it with a magic, because it's going to be fantastic, and you want to go for broke when it comes to color, lighting, and action. Yeah,
and I appreciate that we get a lot within this book of big bombastic moments, but then like also just some quiet 9-page character like we get some 9-page panel grids in here, and they work because they're tight. They're conversations.
Yep.
And I'm like, that really works for it. They're not trying to like do something here other than be like, these two characters are having a conversation. I need them to go back and forth.
Right.
Like, some of this feels like they're thinking about it more cinematically.
Well, and apparently it was part of like a thing. Did we talk about that? The fact that like apparently this was originally like a TV pitch.
Oh, it feels it.
It feels better than that.
It does. No, it does.
I'm
it
concerned,
more grounded.
right? Like, because Hickman pitching this for the MCU, I don't think it would have worked.
Yeah.
Because as much as there's 10 years worth of movies and shows to work with, there's not enough. This feels like it has more gravitas because it's in the comics. So you can, despite the fact that Hickman invents most things in this book, you can draw from elements and it works in as much as like Hickman, I've criticized Hickman before, particularly with Infinity, with the Black Order, with a number of items where it's like Hickman's like, oh man, the Beyonders, like that's something that I don't really respect. I'm going to make up my own thing. And like, oh man, the Black Order, the Children of Thanos, this is a thing that I invented, even though I have a template that I could use. And oh man, here comes the Inheritors, a thing that I just invented for this story. And like, oh man, like, and it feels like it's all part of this whole universe, even though it totally doesn't. But like this actually, because he's done that so many times, this feels like, oh, you've done it again, but it's in a corner of the Marvel universe where you're like, oh, that's fine. Like it doesn't detract from or overcast anything. It's not like Dormammu did that in the story, or Doctor Strange already addressed this. Like there's elements. I mean, even the two camps where Wynn is and where his wife is, that's made up.
Yeah,
but like, who cares?
Right.
Like it's in no part a detraction or derivative or makes you feel like, oh, he's lazy and he's just making up stuff.
Well, like I said, that's like the Good Omens element. Of it.
Oh yeah, that feels very
good.
Good
It's like Good Omens and Doctor Strange and Clea. She's from the Dark Dimension.
Right.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's a story that's been told a million times by a million different creators. So like, why not let Hickman take a shot at it?
But it doesn't like take away from the Marvel universe. He's just adding to it. And you can play with it.
And I appreciate the fact that I think what makes it feel like less that he's just making everything up is because A, we're dealing with magic, and B, he includes so many characters from the Marvel universe alongside his new creations out of the gate.
Exactly.
They're working within the scope of the Marvel universe.
Totally.
And not just being like, well, I don't need you because like whatever. Like you start the book off with Stephen and Wynn having a conversation that is then echoed at the end. Like it's like, here's what's happening right now. We'll get back to that and then fill you in.
That's nice. That was a great moment.
I love it, but I love him being like, this is the Marvel universe.
Yes. Yeah. Right, but it's the Marvel.
I have to address the fact that like my guy kind of reminds you of Doctor Strange, and everybody thought I was doing a Doctor Strange book. So let's just get into it.
He must have been doing
it. Bless you. So like for me, this was like it hit out of the park. It was everything I was looking for right now.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I read it after reading Doctor Strange this week, because again, I'm enjoying the Doctor Strange run. I am enjoying Jed MacKay on this book, but like this book, this God's book, really, I was like, wow, this is what I've been missing.
Yes,
that's how it felt like for me.
Yeah, and maybe it'll raise the bar. Maybe it'll make the Marvel people go like, oh, we need to really step up our game.
Yeah,
we can't just let Jed MacKay do whatever the hell he wants.
Right, and I appreciate it because it is magic, and because he's not trying to tie it into what's happening right now. This could be a little more evergreen.
Yes,
which I appreciate. I appreciate that a lot. We're like, this is gonna, I hopefully be a really great collection at the end of the day. Like again, we're one issue in, but it's a one oversized, incredibly large issue. So you really get a feel for this world, get a feel for these characters, you get a feel for the tone of it.
Yeah.
So for me, 100%.
Yeah, big recommend.
A definite pick up and a recommend, but I completely understand based on its price tag.
It's outside your budget.
Yeah, like people going like, I'm gonna wait. I totally get that.
I mean, the reality is, this book will not be $10 in the back issues bins in 2 months.
Probably not, because like I do feel like a lot of people
skipped it.
We're like,
a lot of people skipped
it, and I don't like how Ultimate Invasion worked out.
Totally that's true. That. Ultimate Invasion might have hurt this book in a big way.
We'll see. I have no idea.
Or the fact that it's magic and magic is a tough sell. But this is a good book. Pick it up. Alta's Bane says, do you expect that in the next 18 months the X-Men are operating out of a school in upstate New York? No, I want that. I like, the biggest change for the Marvel universe that I liked is a 25-year-old idea, which is maybe 20 years old, is the not 20 years old, which is Avengers Tower. Which like I'd like that. Xavier Tower or Tower of X, like they move into where the Avengers Tower used to be. I would like that. If we're going to change things, but make it like kind of the same, like I'll take an X-Men Tower. I know it's not the treehouse, but like, something like that.
They already got that though.
Not anymore. It's empty and they can burn it. But like, I don't expect that to happen. Peach, the only Marvel books I've read are all the Ultimate Universe and Claremont X-Men. Can I hop on to Gods, or should I wait until I read more Marvel?
I think you can, because it's set against the Marvel universe, but like all the information you're getting is new information.
It's true. There's not a lot of deep cuts.
No, you're very much on the same page as us, as long as you like can physically recognize. Like, I know that's Doctor Strange.
You will. You will know that that's Wong and Doctor Strange, and literally everybody else, except for the ones that you recognize, are new characters.
Yeah.
It's funny. That actually keys into something that I saw recently, which was like this dumb, terrible meme that somebody posted on like socials like years ago, which was like, where do I need to start to read a Western comic book? And like, well, you got to read the Golden Age, then you got to get to this, and then you got to read 444 pages. And then like, where do I need to start for manga? Chapter 1. I think that's terrible and stupid, but also like it's wrong, because the Western comic book industry has been trying desperately over the last like 100 years to get new readers and to make it new reader friendly. So every new arc is a new place to start. Like, every comic book, according to Stan Lee, is someone's first comic book. And so it's like, when it comes to, if I want to read a superhero comic, where do I start? Start with the new one and then work your way back, and ask a socially responsible fan where you might want to start. Don't ask like the comic book store owner. He's probably like going to tell you to buy every volume on his shelf.
Right.
But like, don't ask a like armchair jackass that who likes comic books. Like, ask a reasonable person where you would start or what they recommend, because it really is about like recommending just like wherever. Like, you can start wherever and work your way backwards. Like, new fans are born from jumping in on issue 362 and then working their way forwards or backwards, and like going, I really like this story, I really like this character, or who the hell are they talking about? Well, I'll just go find out. The internet exists. Google the name and the publisher. Just literally go like, I don't know who that person is. Name plus Marvel, and you'll get their like Wikipedia or fandom page.
Right.
Then you can read everything that has about. And then if something sounds intriguing about, like if some paragraph you're like, whoa, what happened there? It cites the book. Go check it out. Like it couldn't be easier to jump into comic books. It's just daunting, because most people who are polluting the conversation are teenagers who are new to it and who are like opinionated and strong-willed. And so when they're like intimidated by something like issue 625 or issue 30,
but they shouldn't.
They go like, no, it should have been new because I'm new to the world.
But I don't know. I think that's I don't know about that, because if they read manga, like some of those mangas are so like,
well, and that's the other thing is like, oh yeah, start at volume 1, but it doesn't get good until volume 7. So, and it's going to be 30 years in between those volumes. And so, you're going to have a slog between books 2 to 7, but after 8, it gets really good. And then it dips down around volume 13, but then around volume 22, it gets way better. Like,
that's comic
books too. It's the same effing thing. So like, no one's better than anyone else. Cat Lair will defend for treats. Says, hey, ComicPop, I wish there was a Batman reptilian type approach to Alien Predator at Marvel. Sinister Six getting killed and Spider-Man solving the case. Lol. That'd be fun.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, we'll get Predator versus Spider-Man at some point. If people buy Predator versus Wolverine.
Right. But Batman Reptilian, just short, done, weird.
That's all I want. I don't want it to be like written by Garth Ennis every time, but like, I'll take it.
It's fair.
I'd like a Predator book written by Garth Ennis. Are you kidding me? Hulkzilla, thanks for your support.
Thank you.
Ken Barbie, I have no idea what you're talking about. ASM 1000, JMS, JR Jr., The End. Thoughts? I mean, I'd read it. If you're pitching that, I'm in. If you're saying that's a thing that people are talking about, I didn't see that.
Okay.
So that's what I'll say about that. BK Sakuga, will you guys be at New York Comic Con? Due to work, Sunday is the only day I can go. Hope you were there. We will be, Tiffany and I will be there. No guarantees on Ben and Ethan. Ben and Ethan will be there Friday and Saturday. Red Hood 52, Tower of X is definitely asking for the tower to be destroyed, especially in the tarot imagery that we saw before the Krakoa era. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It all gets destroyed. The mansion blew up 10 times before we got to Krakoa. The Baxter Building got shot into space 3 times. The Stark Tower was collapsed by the Hulk in World War Hulk and was rebuilt between the panels. You can definitely have Tower of X and have it be destroyed and rebuild it. It's okay. Batman 138 from Chip Zdarsky with art by Jorge Jimenez sees the continuation of the Gotham War while also deepening the Gotham War in a fun way where it's like, oh, okay, so this is what it's really about.
Have you seen that image before?
It's
the image of the candlelight and the
that is a when Batman indoctrinated Dick Grayson into the war, they do this. You saw it most recently in Dark Crisis.
Thank you. I was like, where did I see this?
It's a classic image of like Batman making this child take an oath to dedicate his entire life to fighting a war that he created because his mommy and daddy were killed when he was an 8-year-old. But so Batman's obviously nuts, and he's like freaking out, and he's like, every minute that I'm spending fighting you guys, every minute that you guys are allowing crimes to take place in Gotham is another 8-year-old boy being killed in an alley. I'm freaking out right now.
Wait, an 8-year-old boy being killed in an alley?
I'm sorry, an 8-year-old boy being like losing his family.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, you know, it's obviously Batman is being corrupted by the Xerna influence. I don't even know if Xerna even appears in this issue, but I do know that like essentially the entire Bat family, except for the sociopath, are against Batman, and so Batman has to fight them. He kidnaps Jason Todd and then injects him with like a horrible new variant on the Scarecrow toxin, so that if Jason like gets into any like altercation, fear will immediately cripple him and keep him from doing anything. This way, you're saved. Now you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry about ever being Red Hood or dedicating your life. You failed, basically. Like, you shouldn't be a Robin. You shouldn't be a Red Hood. Like, you've completely failed, and your betrayal of me is indicative of the fact that, like, I failed on you, and so, like, I'm just going to take you off the board. And so now, like, we'll just do this to you. So now you'll never have to worry about being a problem ever again. And you can just live a normal life. You're welcome. And he's basically thinking about this about all the Robins because they've all betrayed him in some way. And like we're indicating that like Zdarsky's playing with this idea that Batman is like, you know, people like Sal who complain about how Batman has a too big family and he's not like a loner who hangs out with Jim Gordon all the time. Like, that's bad because Batman grows and changes and evolves. And like now, like this is the normal state of affairs is Batman is a huge family and he's more well-adjusted. But if he goes back, it's because he's not well adjusted, and we need to illustrate this through an event like this. So, you know, because he's obviously telling himself, it's like, oh, well, I'll just take all the children off the board, and then I will like be back to basics, and that's really the way it should be. And it's like, obviously, since it's coming out of the mouth of a psychopath, you're not supposed to buy it or agree with him. Right. I happen to agree with him, but I also don't agree with the idea of destroying and dismantling the entire Bat family to do it, nor do I think that the idea of character assassinating Bruce Wayne or Batman is also a way to do it. But obviously that's not the case. Batman's been infected by some kind of like, you know, problem. The Xerna influence taken over. I also don't think you can walk that back in like an arc, but I also have a theory about that as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this issue, we deepen the whole Vandal Savage thing. I think that, like, I don't know. We've indicated that, like, the meteorite that gave Vandal Savage immortality is also linked with the Lazarus Pits. And so Ra's al Ghul and Vandal Savage are inexorably linked to each other. And so that's why Vandal Savage took over the Batcave, because he's in this book now. And the woman that like teams up with Catwoman, who's part of the Gotham War, is actually Vandal Savage's daughter, whose name is Scandal Savage. Fart. And that's fun in its own way. I actually laughed. I didn't like, if you say it out loud, it sounds terrible, but like if you're reading it, you're like, nah, Scandal Savage. I mean, whatever at this point, who cares anyway? But yeah, so anyway, she's clearly like working. Oh, the whole thing is that like the Gotham War is Selina's like, oh, I know, we'll take over the underworld of Gotham and make them all pinky swear not to kill anybody and only attack the 1% and not kill anybody when they're doing that either and not rob regular people. And that'll be like the way we win. And then Scandal Savage is like, yeah, and they'll also be inducted into the League of Assassins. And it's like, oh, that's why it's going on. Okay. Like, all right. Selina's an idiot. Okay. Yeah, whatever. I don't know if like Selina knows that's because I mean, like, you could easily be like, Selina's like Batman, where she's like, yeah, I know. I knew it. I needed to figure out what you were planning, Scandal. But yeah, it's a scene, man. From infecting your son with a debilitating virus that will keep them from being their truest self to beating the living hell out of your other children in the street. And then the idea is that he's like, oh, like he hits them with nets, and like then the police show up and he's like, they'll get arrested, their identities will be made public, and then they can't be Robins anymore, and then they can just go be normal. They don't have to like worry about like screwing with my mission anymore. because like it was a mistake to bring in Robins, and then it'll just be me, and that's the way it should be. And they're like, you're gonna get outed too, and he's like, I don't care. Bruce Wayne sucks. He's nobody. I created Bruce Wayne to protect you. Like, I just want to be Batman. And I'm like, yeah, that's just Zerna. No, somebody's like, wait, Scandal's working with Vandal Savage. No, Scandal is Vandal Savage's daughter, and yes, she's working for Vandal Savage. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm actually kind of enjoying it. It's silly and weird. It's just kind of like,
based on what you just said, I'm like, how is this? What?
It's just like, okay, like it's what's the is there like a food you can like analogy where you just throw it like a kitchen sink? Like, I'll just throw everything in the refrigerator into this pot, and now we have a dinner.
Yeah,
that's what this is. Just throw everything in there, and it somehow becomes edible. It's just so stupid, but also like fun. That's what Batman is. At this point, when Batman has had like 10 Robins and like they're all his sons, including his biological son, who's actually a test tube baby that was made by the League of Assassins, like, and he's got a super secret evil personality that's not really evil, but also is, that will take over his mind. Like, it's all really stupid.
So when you're a Batman fan long enough, do you just become Garth Ennis?
Right. You just go, who cares? Superheroes are dumb. Like, Batman especially. Yeah, it is gumbo. Batman gumbo. That's what this whole damn the Gotham War. Because okay, Zdarsky got screwed hard twice with both street level night dwelling characters, probably. But Daredevil, he wanted to do a story about like Daredevil, and one of his arcs, Marvel went, make that an event, and it'll basically be like Civil War 4. And everyone was like, what? I don't want Civil War 4. And it was really short and had no repercussions.
Right.
And everyone went, what the fuck? And Chip's like, well, I didn't really want to do that, but like they made me. And this is clearly just like an arc that he wanted to do. It was mostly about Vandal Savage and Catwoman. And DC clearly went like, make it an event and call it Gotham War. And he's like, what? Another war that I didn't ask for? Damn it. And then did it.
Stop starting wars.
Yeah, well, no, he's not starting the wars. The publisher's making him call them wars and then turning them into events. And he's like, I don't want to do that. All right, well, here we are. So here we are. And just like, if it weren't a war and if it weren't an event and if it wasn't spanned across multiple titles, I think you'd enjoy this more. And when I say you, I mean readers. And it's just like, all right, it's just a mess. It's a big, silly mess. Especially when you've had a character that's been going on for this long with this much continuity. You know, people are talking about like, oh, what about character progression? I'm like, I mean, this is the inevitability of character progression. Is like when you have a character that like the world, that the majority of the world knows as one thing, and the minority of the world, who are the majority of comic book readers, know him as another thing, right? Like the world knows him as a crime-fighting loner who sometimes teams up with Superman, who maybe has a Robin. They might know that much because of Adam West. And then a proportionately non-existent amount of people who are also the only people who read the comic books, who are like, actually, Batman is a father to at least 5 to 7 children, who has been like a genius and a world-changing like totem and all this other stuff. And when you try to reconcile those two worlds, you're going to get Gotham War.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't have a solution for you. I'm just reading the book and talking about it.
Right.
You know, it's like the Hulk in Endgame where he's like, look, we're talking about time travel. Either all of it's a joke or none of it is. Like, we're talking about Batman number 138. Like, either all of it's still stupid or none of it is. Like, it's either going to be silly and weird or it's going to be, like, fun and engaging.
Right.
And I can't help you. Like, all I know is, while I was reading, I was like, I mean, like a lesser writer, a person who's not capable of writing, or a person who got the job because they were 12 years old and like they lied on their resume. I'm looking at you, Chim Shooter. Like would make this really hacky. And like maybe the concept is overall hacky over like, look, I have a theory about this whole Zerna thing, that it's going to be like an alien symbiote that like took over his body. Like, I genuinely think at some point or another, it's going to be revealed that Batmite manifested in Batman's psyche or like took over his body and like took the form of the Zur-Anar personality. So the Batman is 100% not culpable for any of this. And he's like, I took over, like, I just wanted to be part of you. It's going to be like the Alien Costume Saga, but it's by way of a fourth dimensional imp. And it took the form of the purple costume that Grant Morrison was a fan of. And so it'll be this, like, it's going to get sillier before it gets over, is what I'm saying. It's going to get sillier before it's over, folks. I don't think that's necessary. And that's a theory of mine. I don't think it's not grounded in any reality. No one's told me anything about it. I'm just saying, I think that either, like, it's because, like, here's how it's all going to link together. You ready for this? Because here we go.
Okay.
Failsafe. Big stupid robot that has no personality, that has a consciousness downloaded into his mind and flew away.
Yeah. That's
a great vessel for this Zur-Anar character.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, when Batman purges Batmite or the Zur-Anar character, who's just like an alien symbiote or whatever, it's going to jump onto the Eddie Brock of this world, which is the Zur-Anar, which is the failsafe robot. And then Batman will have a new villain in the form of Batman of Zur-Anar, but as a separate character that he can literally punch. I think that's where we're going with this.
Okay.
And if that's the case, I'm kind of going to jump out of my chair and clap my hands. Because, like, who gives a shit at this point? Like, I feel like I'm going insane. So anyway, that's a book, and it looks great.
Okay, that's something.
Ken Barbie says, how do you feel about the Comics Journal Kirby interview about what he said about Stan not co-creating anything? Marvel method, just a ruse for co-credit. No. At the end, Kirby was, deeply resentful and bitter, and didn't have, like, there's always, the truth is in the middle. It's never like all Stan and it's never all Kirby. It's two men who had very strong convictions.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, when you laugh at me saying that Stanley had convictions, it's like, no, Stanley's convictions were to be P.T. Barnum of Marvel.
Yeah. Like,
he believed in that so much that he sacrificed being authentic for being that.
Yeah.
He was bald. Right? Like, that's a hairpiece.
Yeah.
Like, he looked 50 years older when he first started working at Marvel. So, and Jack had his own convictions. I mean, so did Steve Ditko, but you just wouldn't agree with him most of the time because of his political leanings. Like, but, people said he was really, like, he had a high integrity. And it's like, yeah, he did, for his own personal beliefs.
Yeah.
Jack, Stan, Steve, all of them have strong personal beliefs and convictions. And those guided their opinions and feelings. And like, there are some moments where you saw the two of them, like, hugging in pictures, and other times where, like, they wouldn't, like, Jack wouldn't talk to him. It's really dependent on how these men felt at the time. Especially when, like, one of them was doing better financially than the other.
Yeah.
Jack didn't want to turn himself into a effing brand because Jack Kirby was not an influencer. You know what I mean?
He was a creator.
He was a creator. And I believe Stan was too, but he was a carnival barker. Lawrence Perry, thank you guys for recommending Saga. Loved it.
Yay!
Tiffany recommended Saga. I never recommended Saga.
Well, thank you for giving me credit.
J-Man27 Joe Star. I did like the line that Batman doesn't care about his Bruce Wayne felt true. Yeah, exactly. He's like, I don't give a shit about Bruce Wayne. Who needs that? But that's just Zur talking for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about Loki.
Oh my God, I totally forgot that we were going to do that.
I know. Loki season 2, episode 1. We watched it. We watched the first episode.
Yeah.
We have screeners, but I don't want to watch it with my name plastered across it, streaming from my phone to my TV.
Yeah, I'd rather just
So
wait.
I'll just wait.
We'll just wait
And watch with everybody else. But yeah, Loki. It takes place immediately after where the last one left off. It almost has no bearing whatsoever on any other element of the Marvel universe, despite the fact that Loki season 1 in the final episode, like, kicks off the new status quo of the phase of Marvel with the multiverse and everything. And I think it's all the better for it. It's just its own thing. It has implications of the larger MCU, but also has absolutely nothing to do with it and doesn't care. It wants to tell its own story so far, and I'm really enjoying it. It's well shot. It's well acted. It's well directed. The first episode, that is.
Okay.
Yeah. And the effects look really good. Tiffany?
What I appreciated was how much it feels like just a continuation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there has been a significant amount of time
Yeah.
in between. So it would have been really easy to, I mean, I'm sure if you watch it back to back, there's some changes, you know, I'm
Yeah.
sure like in terms of lighting or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But, like,
whatever.
for the most part, the feel is there. And I think that's a big deal.
Yes.
And yeah, the quality was definitely just there. And I was like, all right, I feel like I needed to rewatch the first season. So I'm really thankful for that opening recap. But even still, I was kind of like, uh-oh, I don't remember a lot of what happened because it was a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't rewatch it. Yeah.
So maybe I'll have to go back and check out a little bit more of that the first season. But for the most part, I think the first episode did a really good job of being like, listen, here's what happened. Let's just get into it.
Right.
And yeah, you know, new cast members. I'm here for them.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
So that's what I got.
Right. Yeah. I like it. I like the you know, I don't care about Sylvie anymore. I kind of figured like her arc kind of ended when she killed Kang. But obviously she's going to be the main through line for the entire series. There's no question in my mind about that. Like that it's going to be all about her, or at the very least, like about reconnecting with her and finding her, and then whatever she wants, we'll just make the show about that.
Right.
I'm certain that's going to be the case. But I'm here for everything else, and there's, you know, there's so much more that I'm hopeful that it will be, you know, redeeming and engaging.
Right.
So far, it's the best looking Marvel thing in a long time. Looks better than any of the shows.
Yeah.
But I'm also concerned because, like, I think, did we talk about this? The fact that, like, the first episode of Ms. Marvel, like, it had so much character and so much personality, and like, even though it wasn't like for me necessarily, but like, so did this.
Yeah, but this is a second season.
This is,
so, like, you know, it's already ingrained.
No, it's true.
How it's gonna go and how it's gonna look.
Yeah,
so.
I'm just worried because, like, Ms. Marvel eventually just went, bleh, and like, I'm worried that the first, like, they put a lot of effort in the first episode, and the second episode is gonna go. Bleh.
I know. You know what's funny is I have no idea how involved he is, but I feel like Tom Hiddleston wouldn't allow that to happen.
He is a producer on the show.
Yeah, like,
I can imagine being like, don't you Moon Knight me.
He really, like, he's embraced this character. He embraces the world that they live in. I think he really enjoys making the show.
Yeah.
So I don't really worry about that too much.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll just say it out loud. But I do. Yeah, I like it a lot, and everyone's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a theory. Benny pitched a theory, and I was like, oh no, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
That Mobius is actually a variant of Thor.
Oh, that's interesting.
Where I was like, oh, and then I build off that where I'm like, wait a minute, what if it is like that Odin cast him out and he never felt worthy. So he just lived on Midgard as a man. You know, so he never tries to lift Mjolnir again. Okay. And then, like, around like the fourth to last episode, you know, the second to last episode, he does, and he becomes Thor. But it's like Owen Wilson Thor. He's like, wow.
He's like, my name was Eric Masterson.
If it was Eric Masterson, I'd be very okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, when he finds out his
true name, like his real name, yeah. Like... I'd be very okay with Owen Wilson, with Mobius technically being Eric Masterson. And then put him in the Marvel universe. Like, let's go.
That's better than me going like, so Ouroboros is Kang, right?
Oh, sure.
Will become the new Kang.
Oh, that's such a good idea. That's a way better idea. Yeah. Yeah, just make him Kang. Because, like, we looked up Marvel Comics, Ouroboros. They just took the name.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anything. I'm also kind of like, here's another question I have about the show. It's like, where is Thor? I know it's like the show's about Loki, but like, so were the movies. Like, why can't Thor be in the show?
Because this is about time and...
Yeah, so, like, you could have any version of Thor.
Doesn't know what's happening.
No, but it doesn't matter. Like, my point is, Chris Hemsworth would be in it.
Oh, sure.
So put him in it.
Get Liam Hemsworth. He's a different Thor.
No, he's the Witcher now. He can't come. But yeah, anyway.
Get Henry Cavill.
That'd be hilarious. He's a variant.
He's like, I'm Beta Ray Bill. Hey.
No.
That'd be amazing.
I don't want him to be Beta Ray Bill. I want
Henry Cavill to be Beta Ray Bill because you'd never see him.
No, he's just mo-capped.
Just no reason to have
like
him.
Vin Diesel. You know, he plays a tree. Not even physically there. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I do want Beta Ray Bill. I want somebody with a crazy voice to be Beta Ray Bill.
He's got a crazy voice.
Who's that guy we were talking about? That we were like, oh, he was in Gravity Falls. He was not in Gravity Falls. I thought it was him.
Oh, the guy who plays the Queen's helper in Princess Diaries?
Yes.
That guy?
Yeah, that guy should play Beta Ray Bill.
Is he alive?
I don't know. I don't think he is, actually. Never mind. Just get somebody with a crazy voice. But yeah, anyway, let's recommend some comics that come out this week that we think you should check out. Tiffany, take it away.
Oh, man. All right, let's do it. Wolverine number 38 is coming out this week.
Yay.
It's Wolverine teaming up with Cap. I love that.
Yep. I always love that pairing.
They've been through the war together.
Which one?
Together.
Most of them.
Most of them. They've been through wars.
Yeah.
They were both there, even if they weren't next to each other. X-Men Red number 16. It's Apocalypse's kids.
Yay.
They're here. They're doing their thing.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
A lot of words on the cover for no reason.
Well, I think it's because there's a thing in the back. There's a backup.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So they're trying to advertise for that. Using
Yeah.
the power of the comics. So that's fine. I'm not going to necessarily read this.
But it's like, hey, listen.
But I want to give a shout out to it. But Wesley Dodd is getting a comic.
Yeah.
And everybody, Wesley Dodd, the Sandman, part of the Dawn of DC. It's written by Robert Venditti.
Yep.
With art by Riley Rossimo.
It's a great pairing.
If you are a fan of Wesley Dodd's, go check it out. I mean, maybe I'll pick it up, but I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Somebody said Keith David is Beta Ray Bill. Yay.
Oh!
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, 100%.
No, you know he'll be in the MCU? Some guy named Steve. Like Bill Murray. Anyway.
The Hunger and the Dusk number 3. G. Willow Wilson is from IDW. I love this fantasy book. It's a lot of fun.
Wouldn't it be cool if you interviewed her at New York Comic Con about this book?
Yeah, it would be.
You think you guys would watch it?
Better. If it happened.
If it happened,
I'd expect you all to watch it.
Yeah.
Support me because I get nervous about things.
Because I get nervous about
things. Nervous right now thinking about the possibility of it happening.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I just wanted to throw this out there. Stephanie Phillips is writing a book, obviously, for Halloween. It's called Cap Wolf and the Howling Commandos.
What a great idea. Because there already is a Howling Commandos and there is a Cap Wolf established. So yeah, genius.
I mean, look at this. Yeah.
Listen, there's a long-standing history of Captain America turning into a wolf, so
I freaking love it. Also, there's a bat label. Hey, I'm not wrong. There's a Black Label book coming out from DC called Batman: City of Madness #1, written and drawn by Christian Ward.
Yes, Christian Ward's been hyping up this book a lot. He's very excited. He wants to see people buying. He says if you like Arkham Asylum, A Serious House and Serious Earth, The Court of Owls, etc., then you will probably want to read this book.
Look at this.
It's crazy looking.
I just love the way it looks. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, sure. You will definitely check it out.
I am definitely gonna check it out. Don't you tell me I'm not gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, you should.
It's gonna be so checked out. You won't be even checked in.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, I got him.
Well, I myself am reading, obviously, Superior Spider-Man is returning with Ryan Stegman on art. I'm going to check that out. It's called the Superior Spider-Man Returns #1. Definitely check that out. Dan Slott, Christos Gage paired together, and obviously with Ryan Stegman on art as well.
Why is there so much art? Dan Slott, Stegman, Bagley, Camuncoli.
Humberto Ramos, Giuseppe Camuncoli. Yes, all three. Well, because they all worked on the Superior Spider-Man, except for Mark Bagley, but who cares? He's great. So yeah, no, it's going to be exciting to see that return, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'll read it. Superboy, Man of Tomorrow. I believe this is the end of the series. It's #6. So if you enjoyed the series, you should definitely enjoy it yourself. Wrap up this book. It's new status quo for Connor now that he's returned. Also, Batman and Robin #2 from Joshua Williamson and Simone DeMeo. You have never seen a Batman book that looks like this. It's insane. It also establishes a new villain that may have been debuted in conversation on our show, All Stars. So check that out. Also, Danger Street #10. We're getting dangerously close to the end of the series. I have never read more than one issue of this book. I am literally buying it in like physical and then just putting it aside. I will sit down and read the entire series later, but I'm at this point, I trust King. Sight Unseen. The covers, again, just like, oh my God, this book is so good. Looking.
And I'm going to find that cover in a minute. Oh, I didn't even recognize that. What? I fixed it.
Yeah. Right? Sweet.
I did not know what I was looking for.
It's the Creeper.
That's crazy.
Right? It's just a great looking book. That's I believe Fornes does the covers on those, and he's going to be at New York Comic Con too. I'm going to try and get him to sign my Rorschach. We'll see what happens. But yeah.
You got anything else that's coming out that you're going to read?
I'm sure that there's other things that I'll probably read.
But like, this is the
that's
Comic-Con
enough.
week is always rough.
It is, because yeah, I'm not going to read it this week because I'll have to be driving back and forth into the city every day for the next 5 days or so. So yeah, thank you so much to our super chatters for sponsoring today's show. Thank you to the people in the chat for watching today's show. Thank you for those of you who watch the show after the fact. We do appreciate you as well. And if you're listening to the show, give us a 5-star rating on the audio podcasting network of your choice.
And share it with a friend.
And share with a friend if you would, please. We'll see you guys next time with an all-new episode of Off the Rack. Of course, stay tuned for more. If you'd like to see a little peek of what it's like to walk around on a comic book floor or Comic-Con floor, you should definitely check out our video on Baltimore Comic-Con. It came out on Saturday. It's here on this channel. It's just a cute little video. I think it's less than 4 minutes long. It's not much of a commitment, but it's also just a cute little video with apparently some funky music people really enjoyed. So check out that episode as well. And of course, more. Watch Tiffany on twitch.tv/ComicPop. She plays video games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays normally. Although I don't know about this Wednesday. I think she's hosting a back issue. We'll see.
I think I am.
But we'll see you guys next week with an all-new episode of Off the Rack here on this channel. Like the video, subscribe to our channel. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I'm Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.